hello, afternoon, or wherever the time is for you. I'm about to go live on this ridiculousness that passes for a presidential briefing that they do every day, this ego fest that this idiot insists on doing every day. Um, honestly, it is maddening to the amount of ass kissing that is required to simply share a stage with Trump is probably the most frustrating part of this whole thing. Um, you heard me. You heard me. What'd you say? Reporters. You are fake news person over here. This is not social distancing. Because, yes, there's a seat between you, but right over your shoulder, Rand Paul could be anywhere. I don't know if you guys have heard in the last little bit, both Rand Paul and Harvey Weinstein have both tested positive for coronavirus. And yeah, so yeah, great. Yeah, great. Yeah. And everybody in Rand Paul's office is like, hey, bruh. This is how everyone in Rand Paul's office talks, according to me. Bro, as soon as he found out he was positive, he finished his sandwich, uh, wiped his hands on the tablecloth, said goodbye to everybody with a big kiss on the cheek, and left. I mean, what is your problem, bro? Hi, good to see you. Yes, we are sure Weinstein is being isolated because he has COVID-19. And so does Rand Paul. Rand Paul is relatively asymptomatic, and he's like, I love how these idiots are going, yeah, no, bro, I don't even have any symptoms. It's fine. Like, yeah, you're the dude passing it around. They're the worst. People who have it and are asymptomatic, who are like, I can go anywhere. I don't know. I don't even sniffle it. Every breath you're leaving. The same time they discover that it stays on surfaces for 3 friggin' days, and this guy, while he gets a test because he's been exposed, while he's waiting for his test, he's eating in the Senate lunchroom. He's working out in the gym. There, which I'm sure it was the loneliest of anybody. Like the House gym has a lot of youngins in it, but the senators who go to the gym for the Senate are pretty like, hi, Venus Flytrap. Thanks for all the sparkly things you send. I don't know what they are, but I appreciate them. Let your neighbors know you're thinking about them. Offer any help. Precisely, Liberty Bee. I mean, it's a little creepy to get a note on your door like, hey, we're thinking about you. Like, under normal circumstances, I'd close my shutters. But today, yeah, that's right. Every breath you take, every move you make. Every law you break, all this stuff at stake, I'll be watching you. Since you coughed, I've been run without a trace. Right. Yeah, how about that? How about you smash that like and give us a thumbs up and welcome or whatever. I'm going to speed ahead to this now that you guys are here because this is basically as live. Let's see. He makes everybody come out first, dick around, stand there with their thumb up their keister. Remember, think about how many times you're going to hear the word immediate and working around the clock in all of these things. Think about how often they are using those phrases. Meanwhile, he's got these dangling dicks on the stage waiting for what? For him? These are the people who should be working. If they have they have statements to read. Some of those statements are germane to what's going on. Like the dude from FEMA who's standing right there with that piece of paper that's in his hand. That's his statement. That statement has meaning. It will set things in motion and let people know what resources are available to them and stuff. And they've got him standing there with his thumb up his ass, waiting for Trump to come out and what's the over under on his lumber walk? That it's going to get slower as we go. Honest to God. No, Scarf Lady isn't there, and neither is Fauci, and they're rotating people. Give the people up. Here he comes. Lumpity dump, lumpity doo.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming, everybody. I really appreciate you guys showing up in the middle of a pandemic to keep people informed. I mean, I never would have thought.
Just
Keeps,
before we begin,
we, before we begin, I'd like to begin with.
I want to mention we're working very hard, long on getting a young group of people out of Peru. We've removed.
You guys good? You good about that? You worried? I know you were worried about that. That we're getting the people out of Peru.
Moved some, and the rest are being removed with the cooperation of the Peruvian government. And
they're not keeping them there as hostages in Peru.
we're also dealing with Honduras on getting some people out that got caught up, and we.
You mean Americans? You're getting Americans back home, which would be your primary job? I don't know why I'm responsible for Americans outside the country. When did this bullshit start?
Are working on that very well. Again, with the.
We're doing such a great job of doing the normal parts of government.
Honduran government's work, and they're working with us, so I appreciate that. We have a couple of other locations that we'll report to you, and we were able to get a young
Are you out of breath from 2 steps?
Woman released from a certain area who was being horribly accosted, horribly treated. And we spoke to General Milley. General Milley took care of it. We went in and we got her out.
What are you talking about? You can't enter into the middle of this conversation. Like it's like somebody walking up to you in the line at the grocery store going, there might be a fire. So I smell, there's, is that smoke?
And we'll report further on that one.
When I don't know what's going on.
But it's that was rough stuff.
But it's totally rough. I don't know if you saw it. I think her name was Clarice or something. I fell asleep in the middle of the movie. Quarantine sucks.
I want to thank General Milley. I want to thank all of the people that were involved and the people that went in to get her. I want to thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Try the veal. Honestly, what is he talking about? Spell it out. These are written remarks. What did he skip half a page?
We continue.
Yeah, does anybody know in the chat room? Please fill us in, because I'm sure it's a story, but what the hell?
Marshal every resource at America's disposal in the fight against the Chinese virus.
Oh God.
We're profoundly grateful to our nation's state and local leaders, doctors, nurses, law enforcement.
Other people on my list of people too.
And first responders who are waging this battle on the ground.
And there really is a battle. They're waging. Their wages are gone, but they're still waging.
It is absolutely critical that Americans continue to follow the federal government's guidelines. So important.
So important. Presidential guide, really my guidelines. I mean, have you seen my Sharpie letter?
About social distancing, non-essential travel, and hand washing.
I've had a couple of people from FEMA, like the guy behind me, fly in today to stand 2 feet from me. He met with Rand Paul yesterday to talk about social distancing.
Defeating this unseen enemy requires.
It really is unseen.
The help and commitment.
Commitment? Bibbity bobbity? He's got we're stopping the bibbity bobbity boo.
Of every single American. I want to just say that Senator Rand Paul, a friend of mine, he's been a great friend of mine. He's been old.
I come not to bury Rand Paul, but to praise him.
He was there when we needed him, when the country needed him. And
now we need him to not be around.
As you know, he just tested positive. Jose Diaz-Balart, spoke to him yesterday, tested positive. And some people are
These are the people who have tested positive that I give a shit about.
Quite close to home. And
I'm starting to actually notice.
It's a terrible thing that's going on.
Terrible when it happens to people I know.
And the hidden enemy.
Until then, it was just, this horribly treated woman.
Enemy. I call it the hidden enemy.
That's what I call it. the hidden, unseen, invisible enemy that is vicious.
And I think they'll all be fine. I hope they're going to be.
I think they're going to be, you know what I mean? I took a tongue depressor to them, and, you know, don't worry about a thing. Rand was in my office last year. Some of you,
Moon River. You using the whole fist on?
he knew exactly what.
Fine.
He's going to be great.
But I just want to send our regards, and I think I can speak on behalf of our country to those two great friends of mine.
Yeah, to my friends, they're Jesus Christ, man.
We're working urgently with Congress on legislation to support the millions of workers, small businesses, and industries who have been hit hard by the virus through no fault of their own.
But anybody who caught it on purpose, F them.
Our goal is to get relief to Americans as quickly as possible.
Oh, it was Mario Diaz-Balart that got. Oh my God! Really, Milkman Norm? Is that true? Because this is the first I'm hearing of it. Because this is live ish. So, what a dick! My best friend, Greg. Some call him Gabe. Orville. Orville has it. I don't know who. We played golf last week.
So that families can get by, and
we were making jokes about coffin and coffin and coffin. Get it?
Small businesses can keep workers on the payroll. This will help our economy, and you will see our economy skyrocket once this is over. I think it's going
to be so good when we won't have to pay Social Security for all these dead old people, and when we get rid of these lazy vapors who are going to have lung problems and die. Soon as that happens, skyrocket.
It's
in flight. It's going to be like an afternoon delight. Asshole.
It's a pent-up demand. It's a built-up demand, and
personally, I have a pent-up demand to go to that rub and tug outside of Mar-a-Lago with my golf buddies.
I guess you really have to say who knows, but I think it's going to be a tremendous day when we.
I guess you have to say who knows. I do though. Super great. Whatever.
Win
Jesus,
this war.
Man.
We will win the war.
We're going to win it. It's a war. Remember,
as few, if you look at it, just deaths as possible.
As few, you know, if it's deathy, with a little death is. That's what I'm shooting for. Keep the death low.
Possible. We want to have as few number of deaths as possible.
Oh, all right. Well, hey, it's important when you're strategizing to have a clear and you got to have goals if you want to get anything done, ladies and gentlemen. You got to create smart goals, goals that you can keep track of, like having a goal that says 15 down to 0 that goes up to 415. Now that's a goal that didn't go very well. I'm Zig Ziglar. I'll see you tomorrow.
Today I'm announcing action to help New York, California, and Washington.
3 states I friggin' hate, and I'm going to lose in the election, but
ensure that the National Guard can effectively.
The National Guard will be down there.
Respond to this crisis. The National Guard, these are tremendous people.
They're great. The National Guard also, if you think about it, also
they're fully on alert. We've signed what we had to sign.
And stuff is signed.
And it's been activated. We're dealing also with other states. These states have been hit the hardest.
These other states that have been hit the hardest.
Actually, pretty much by far, you could say the hardest. Everybody can see that. Just look at the numbers.
Yeah, totally. You could just, you know.
And through FEMA, the federal government will be funding 100% of the cost of deploying National Guard units to carry out approved missions to stop the virus while those governors remain in command. So the governors locally are going to be in command. And
like you'd say, are they going to be in command? That's what I want to know. Does it say on the paper they're going to be in command? Please say if they're going to be in command again.
We'll be following them, and we hope they can do the job, and I think they will. I spoke with all 3 of the governors today and just a little while ago. And
all the other states are gone. We only have 3 governors left. Everyone is dead. But I've still got my orange face, so that's all that matters.
Very happy with what we're going to be doing because we'll be announcing some other things for them.
They're super excited about it, really. They were just like, couldn't stop cheering.
those three
Jeering, I think is the word.
states and some other states.
Maybe some states, maybe even some territories. I don't know. Dude with the paper behind me will straighten that crap out. Hi, Kayla.
Where
I can't stop lying. Big hug.
it's
Up, Norm.
hit the hardest. This action will give them maximum flexibility to use the guard against the virus without having to worry about costs or liability.
Like in every other national emergency where you
Freeing up state resources to protect the health and safety of the people in their state. The federal government has deployed hundreds of tons of supplies from our national stockpile to locations with the greatest need. In order to assist in those areas, I approved the state of New York's request for a major disaster declaration, something which
what supplies? What are you talking about? Name the supplies, because they aren't masks and ventilators and stuff. The hell are you talking about? MREs, pitchforks,
Governor Cuomo
torches.
has been asking for, and which I agree. And
Everybody's been asking for plague masks.
we had it done in very rapid fashion. We approved this
We did it so fast after we were so late.
on Friday evening, and we are working very, very hard to get all of these things not only signed
Done.
up, but
Did
completed
super-
and finished and
Super
in wind.
good.
The request
so
from
good.
the state of Washington for a major disaster declaration was approved just a little while ago. Went through the process, and we moved it very quickly. The
So
request
good.
from the state of California was just received, and we will have it approved very quickly. We'll be working.
Super quickly, sometime after this 2-hour gab fest where everybody kisses my ass for a couple hours, then maybe if I can find the time.
I told that to Gavin Newsom,
Who's been very nice to me, wrote a letter that said I did everything right.
and we're working on getting that done very quickly. It'll be done maybe tonight.
Maybe, I don't know, whenever I feel like it. All I got to do is sign something and go back to sleep, but I can't be bothered.
We have large quantities of medical equipment and supplies on the way based on all of this to those states, including respirators, surgical masks
No, we don't.
and gowns, face shields, coveralls, and gloves
Coveralls, boots, galoshes, basically hick wear, straw, hats.
with large quantities already delivered to Washington and to New York.
That we told to buy themselves a couple days ago, but I'm going to take credit for the trucks that are on their way. I am basically Amazon right now.
In addition to large quantities of supplies, I've also directed FEMA to supply the following: 4 large federal medical stations with 1,000 beds for New York, 8 large federal medical stations with 2,000 beds for California.
That's what they requested. That's what FEMA has in its availables. He didn't. He's acting like he made this up. I woke up in the middle of the night last night, and I was like, oh, you know what would be good? Don't we have some beds, FEMA guy? Send those up there with some stuff. Don't we have a lot of stuff? I don't know why nobody thought about this.
And 3 large federal medical stations and 4 small federal medical stations
And a partridge in a pear tree.
with 1,000
I hear if you eat a partridge and a pear, it cures coronavirus. It might work. It might, of course, you have to eat the partridge live in one swallow, and people may choke to death, but they may not. I mean, I hope, and that's just, we're going to try it.
beds
By the way, Fauci isn't up here to cut me down today.
for the state of Washington. The governors know. The supplies en route to California and New York
The supplies en route that they asked for and paid for themselves.
will be delivered within the next 48 hours. In addition,
Sometime in the next, we don't know.
the naval
We could GPS. You've got tracking numbers when you order a package from Amazon that can tell you almost to the hour it's going to arrive. But sometimes in the next 2 days, maybe.
hospital ship, the USNS Mercy.
Mercy.
It's
Dude, wheeze more. Why don't you?
incredible ships. These 2
It's great. These are great ships. They're white, which is my favorite thing about them.
ships are incredible. One on the West Coast, one on the East Coast. Will be deployed to Los Angeles to add emergency surge medical capacity, and they have a tremendous capacity. They are
Surging, and they can surge, and they have capacity. They use the flux capacitor to go back in time, and they'll give medical service before I even thought of it.
really something.
Really, fantastic job.
I will say that if you look at some of the things we've been doing, and now those numbers have gone up.
Oh yeah, he lost what page he was on. I had to shuffle it. If you look at what the most important thing, of course, is that my phone says, like Jesus, man.
And just to be a little bit more exacting,
Thank you, Lisa.
we've done a presidential approval for requests for major disaster
So
declaration for the
good,
state
major, so good stuff that
of New York.
Snowpiercer. Yeah, I'm gonna be in the front cabins with the Eyes Wide Shut party. Have fun back by the coal firing plants, eating liquefied Americans.
Approval of Title 30.
I have approval of Title 13, which allows for the production of Soylent Green immediately.
32 National Guard activation for the state of New York. We're providing all of this at no cost to the governor. I spoke with Governor Cuomo. He's working hard. We're all working hard together. The relationship has really been
Great. We're working hard. They're working smart. Eventually,
amazing. But
so good.
it also enables the governor to provide robust National Guard support to the state. And the 25%, we're going to be waiving that 25% cost.
Yeah, no shit. That's what you do in any emergency. This is the baseline. And anytime you declare an emergency in any particular state or a national emergency, this immediately goes away. This has been in the law forever. I would like to congratulate myself on inventing ties. Otherwise, myself, Mike Pence, and where's your tie, you FEMA dude? Stop trying to show me up by looking like you were in the middle of a project when you were pulled away, you bastard.
We're picking up.
Where's your tie? I didn't invent ties or invite.
We'll be coordinating, and they'll be doing something with very special people.
Very special. They're super good.
Mission assignment of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to provide support to build out alternate care sites. They're doing various alternate care sites.
If you haven't heard about it, they're alternate care sites, caring for the sites of the. Oh, am I an idiot? Nicely done, Kim. The best self-owned so far.
Which have now been designated by New York. 4 large federal medical stations of 1,000 beds.
Oh, so
These are
good.
very complex places, actually, with great equipment.
They're tents with beds in them. What are you talking about?
And great people.
Oh, so good.
Strategic National Stockpile Order, and this is as of a number of days ago, so far delivered to New York, and this is the 19th. We had the N95 respirators, 186,416 delivered.
Wait, how many?
Of Washington, we've delivered 369,000 N95 respirators, 507.
No. N95 masks. Those aren't respirators, you jerk.
1,406 surgical masks.
Which aren't N95.
And this is as of about 3 days ago.
No, that's how much they had, dummy.
Face shields, 63,788.
Face shields, super good. See, we only need 14 million
face shields.
Face shields, which is a piece of plastic that clips into the
surgical gowns, 107,850.
107. Let's see. What might be the weak link in our supply chain?
Gloves, 240,376.
At least it's an even number. You got to give us credit for that. If he said 147,691. Wait a second. We don't have amputees working on people. This is.
And we have many things pending.
Many. I wrote that down. It's in Sharpie. It says many.
It's actually not pending. They're being fabricated. They're being made.
Fabricated. That's a good choice of words.
And they're moving. Now for Washington, so we have 4 small federal medical stations, 250 beds. And for
Who's we? You're not doing any of this shit. This is all state-based. You want credit for all this stuff.
Washington, state of Washington, we have 3 large federal medical stations, 750 beds. And then you have, as I said, the approval of the Title 32 National Guard. State of California, again, to be very precise, we're going to have
So precise. We're going to have many, many.
the approval of the Title 32 National Guard activation. And we're providing all of this again, like in New York.
So that's precise enough. Like in New York, we'll do the same numbers of what number was that?
At no cost to the governor, meaning
Very precise.
to Governor Newsom
What is he precise about?
and the state, no cost to the state. It enables the governor to provide robust National Guard support to the state. So they're going to have control
good.
of the National Guard. Federal government sending, these are incredible people that are being sent. We have 8
Wow.
large federal medical stations with over 2,000 beds, and that's going to California. And then strategic national stockpile order. We've ordered likewise hundreds of thousands of different items.
So good.
I won't go into the exact numbers, but the numbers are very substantial. But we're having a tremendous additional number sent.
Lots of very specific numbers. So good.
And whatever the states can get, they should be getting. I say we're sort of a backup for the states. And
Just, I would like all the credit for the states, but we're really here just to,
some of the states are doing really well, and some
some of them aren't. And
don't do as well.
thanks, man. Is that by the guy? Is that precise enough for you guys? You feel like you got a good idea of the precision? Some are good, not so much.
The ones that don't do as well need more help. But these are 3 states that really do
You mean the red states that haven't been preparing because you've been telling them it's a hoax?
need help because they are hit very hard.
Unlike the states that are being hit the hardest. What?
The outpouring from the private sector has also been extraordinary. I'm pleased to report that Honeywell, great company, has just announced it will immediately expand its personal protective equipment manufacturing operations in Rhode Island
Yeah, they offered to. They called. It was their idea.
to produce millions of additional N95 masks. They're very hard to get. They're actually quite complex for the U.S. government's strategic.
Only, people have been taking their HVAC unit thing and just strapping the filter to their head thanks to Honeywell, and they thought
National stockpile. They'll be
so complicated.
immediately then delivered to the various states. This expansion is already underway, and it's going to provide a lot of jobs for that
This is going to be a job boom. Lucky you.
state, probably around 500. The masks will be distributed by the government for the use of the health, safety, and emergency, and this for response workers, primarily for response workers. These are
Response workers. You mean first responders?
very high end. This expansion is in addition to Honeywell's action to more than double production of its existing personal protective equipment manufacturing plants. They make a lot of different things, and they're doubling and tripling their production.
No, they're doubling it. They just said they're doubling it. Doubling and tripling. Just whatever they say they're going to do, add a third on like I made them
They're
do it.
going round the clock.
Round the clock, nonstop, till the workers fall into the machines. That's what I'm pushing for.
I am also announcing the launch of a new
By the way, if anybody gets sick there, make them keep working because we need their stuff.
public-private consortium organized by the White House, the Department of Energy, and IBM to unleash the power of American supercomputing resources to fight the Chinese virus. The following
I have a special, they showed me a version of it yesterday where they had these 2 things going back and forth, and then the virus would go, doot, and then it would go back over here, and they would go, doot, and they would stop it, and they're basically going to stop the virus that way or whatever. Mike had one of the turning things, and I had the other one, and my virus kept just going away.
leaders from private industries, academia, and government will be contributing. And
Let me take a deep breath right now.
they're going to be contributing a lot of
A lot of different things they're going to contribute. And a lot of people are doing a fantastic
different
job.
things, but primarily computing resources to help researchers discover new treatments and vaccines. They'll be working along with NIH and all of the people that are.
Tell us how the computers work. Go ahead. Let me hear you. Let me hear you explain me this. Explain to me what computing is going to be so good. They're going to compute.
Working on this, but tremendous
A lot of people don't even realize they could get,
help from IBM, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, MIT, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, the Department of Energy's National Labor Laboratories, the National Science Foundation, and NASA. They're all contributing to this.
NASA's gonna they're building a safety place for the rich. It's called Project Elysium. I I signed off on it yesterday.
Effort, and they're fully in gear. This afternoon, I also want
NASA's totally in gear, guys. Because when you think of gears, you think NASA.
to update you on the steps we're taking to protect and serve our country's 18 million veterans. These are great people. Our amazing veterans have shown their eternal loyalty to our nation, and this is the time where they're in need, and we are going to show our loyalty to them. We're being very protective of our veterans. We're working on certain hospitals where we may be doing some work.
We're gonna do some things with these people are so important to us, and we all love and care for them so much that we're gonna be doing some stuff I couldn't be bothered to remember.
In Louisiana in particular, and some other states,
Also, states.
veterans hospitals.
You just came from the meeting, dude. You just came from the meeting. What's being done for the VA and the veterans matters, and it should have at least piqued your interest enough to have remembered some of this stuff. It was 20 minutes ago.
We're going to be very protective of our veterans. Some of them are of that very vulnerable age,
Yeah.
and some of them obviously are not feeling well.
Or they wouldn't be in the VA hospital. What the?
And some of them are still suffering the wounds of war from many years ago.
Yes. Yeah.
Yesterday, I signed vital legislation to ensure that the GI Bill will cover distance learning during this emergency. I also spoke with many of our
Oh, you mean you could go to University of Phoenix now? Great.
veteran service organizations, or the VSOs, to describe our unprecedented action. In February, the Department of Veterans Affairs established 19 emergency operation centers throughout the country. One
By
of
the
the
way,
things
I want thank you for thinking of my hold on, pause for a second. Beck thought of my how I was thinking of your drag name, Quarantina. How about Quarantina Turner? What's drugs got to do with it? I'm your private virus for money, making you cough in a rag. I don't know. I got to talk to Rocky Mountain Mike about that.
that they've been trying to get done for many years. You all know this from
Things of when I was talking before I said things that I wasn't saying, and then I did.
following me over the
You guys,
last number of years, but we got it done pretty quickly. They've been trying to get it done for many, many decades with
many decades.
choice, veterans' choice, and also veterans' accountability. Now, if it's crowded within this, if they can't get to a doctor, we have great doctors in the VA. I have to say that we have fantastic doctors.
Yeah. Not till I got in office. You know, before this, they had the Three Stooges in there, just dun 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 boom. Dr. Moe, Dr. Howard, Dr. Fine.
As good as they come, but it's hard to get to them because of
They all live on a mountain.
what was bureaucracy, but no longer bureaucracy. We've done a lot of things.
We have great doctors, but they all lived in a bunker or in a van down by the river.
In that case, because of accountability, when people aren't doing their jobs, or if they're bad, or if they're sadistic, or if
What? Wait, what? What happened? What?
veterans' choice, and also veterans' accountability. I signed that a year and a half ago. For many years, you weren't able to do that. So The VA is working, and I was just told by our great leader at the VA, Robert Wilkie. He said for the first time, we get the highest marks in the history, highest poll numbers in the history of the Veterans Administration. Came out a week ago that
Rave reviews.
they're happy. And look, one of the reasons that happened, highest in history, one of the reasons that happened is because of veterans' choice. If they have to wait online, they go and see a private doctor and we pay the bill. And they get better. They don't have to wait 2 weeks and 3 weeks or 2 days, but they get better. And a lot of times they waited so long that they would have a problem and it would end up being terminal because they couldn't get the kind of treatment that they deserve. So highest poll numbers, highest approval
But I have such good reviews. My Yelp is going up, up, up.
numbers in the history of the VA. I was just given that information yesterday.
Because I insist.
We restricted visitors' access to 135 veteran community living centers, which house.
We just opened up access in a way that we've never opened up access before, and people can go see private doctors. And now that there's a danger, we're keeping people out of the VA.
Nearly 8,000 veterans with chronic medical conditions so that we limit their exposure.
Yeah, that's the idea of the medical providers. The VA is doing that. Stop saying we.
To the virus. We want
I had a great
to
idea.
totally take care of our veterans. And that's what we're doing. The VA has canceled most elective medical and surgical procedures. They're delaying them till after this is gone, after we've won. We began providing life-saving care to patients who had symptoms across the 171 VA medical centers nationwide. That's a big deal. Under my administration, the VA has also been a leader in expanding telehealth. Telehealth is becoming a bigger and bigger factor.
It's a huge, you're hearing it, it's the hottest word next to social distancing. It's a big, big star.
In medicine. This month we have.
By the way, I have SAG health insurance, which I'm very happy to have. I'm curious how the union will handle the fact that production will be down for a good portion of the time and people will have a hard time buying in. They're going to have to forego the work requirement amount for anybody who had insurance last year or whatever, so that you can buy into your insurance at the rate that you were at. But we've had telehealth for a while now.
Taken bold action to cut through the red tape and make telehealth available for millions more Americans during this crisis. They can speak to a doctor from
all the things, they can now do the stuff that Republican governors stopped them from doing years ago.
the safety
Because it was in the ACA.
of their home rather than risk becoming infected or making a tremendously long trip.
Some of them have to go a long way. I saw a guy in a canoe going upriver with a bunch of fur pelts, and he needed to see a doctor. And I was thinking, why doesn't he use his iPad? And somebody said, oh, you're watching The Revenant.
When, frankly, you'll speak to a great doctor right from your home.
Great.
It's happening, telehealth. We're very much at the forefront of that, too. We're very proud of it.
We're very proud of the thing that already existed.
And it also takes a big burden off our system. We continue to accelerate the development of safe and effective vaccines.
No, you don't.
We're also
You can't accelerate the development.
so aggressively.
You can accelerate how fast they can go to market, perhaps, production of them once they exist. You're not going to make them happen any faster. By the way, the United States is not going to be the country that creates the vaccine. Just get that into your head already.
Investigating a number of
Germans that I could pay to come over here. Just like, think of it as kind of like another Project Paperclip.
antiviral therapies and treatments to determine
Which I think are going to work great. Drinking bleach, Pop Rocks and soda. People laughed.
their potential in reducing the severity and duration of the symptoms.
There's a bunch of, I think they're going to be great. That's why I came out here without Dr. Fauci, so I could say my shit uninterrupted.
And you know how I feel because
I like talking out of my ass like Ace Ventura.
how I feel is on Tuesday, they're going to be starting it on Tuesday morning. And we're going to have some medications delivered that we're going to see if they work. They certainly are effective in other ways, and
I was like, headaches, diarrhea, fever, and shortness of breath. So why don't we take Excedrin, Pepto-Bismol, and um, cough syrup, mix it up, make a smoothie, pour it down the tube you've got going into their lungs, see what happens. What have you got to lose?
They are safe from the standpoint is that they're not killing people.
Not yet, although the I don't know if you guys saw me post yesterday, but the drugs he suggested, if you take them together and you don't have a prescription and they don't know what other medications you're taking, and they don't track that very well, it can cause your cause an irregular heartbeat and make you die. They just but whatever.
We're not going to have that. So
We won't have dead people. I mean, that weren't going to die anyways. You can't make an omelet without breaking some Americans.
a lot of great things have been happening
Great things, fabulous, fantastic job,
in that regard.
and people love what we're doing.
I just want to finish, and then we're going to ask a couple of people to say a few words that have been so much in the forefront of this incredible job that we've all been given.
The words of the people. This incredible job that we've all been given. Oh, I feel so lucky
But I
to be alive when this happened. Don't you?
want to say that I know that this is a challenging time for all Americans. We're
This is my inspirational message. They wrote it down, and I have to read it.
enduring a great national trial.
Trial. Do you feel inspired yet? Jesus, it's almost like I'm singing Eye of the Tiger.
And we will prove that we can meet the moment. I want to
Moment. Trial. I underlined some of the words in Sharpie, and then I wrote Chinese over
assure
them.
the American people that we're doing everything we can each day to confront and ultimately defeat this horrible,
Horrible, hidden, I call it unseen, invisible, not my fault enemy is what I call it.
invisible enemy. We're at war in a true sense.
True sense, I'm a wartime president. You're lucky that I'm here. I'm going to be wearing epaulets tomorrow.
We're at war, and we're fighting an invisible enemy. Think of
Invisible, unseen, think of it. No one would have ever
that.
thought. No one could
For
have.
those of you who are feeling alone and isolated, I want you to know that
Melania envies you.
we are all joined together as one people.
Are we? And by one people, I mean Florida will get their needs met faster than the other states that I'm going to lose in the election.
Eternally linked by our shared national spirit. We love our country, a spirit of courage and love and patriotism. No American
Yeah, flourish. Go for the flourish. Let me hear it. No American should, was it, or even
alone as long as we are united, and we are united. We're very united.
we're united. We're so united in our separation. This is the most united, socially distanced populace can be.
People are saying
We're so united. We're all united in having to stay at home.
things now that 3 weeks ago they didn't talk that way.
3 weeks ago, I was telling you it would go from 15 to 0, and the stock market was kicking ass because I was flooding it with the.
We're very united.
We're very united.
No force is equal
Melania Crack just took down the. Well, thank you, Kelly. I'm very proud of it.
to the strength of really a unified America.
Unified, you're refinanced America. You're very proud.
United America.
Whatever you want to say, it says on the paper. I missed it, but I'll try again.
An America like we have it right now.
The best.
For those worried and afraid, please know as long as I am your president, you can feel confident that you have a leader who will always fight for you.
And his name is Joe Biden, who has already been in contact with all the governors. That's why some of them had to hang up with me and go talk to him, and how he's reorganized all the pandemic response team from the White House team. We called him. We tried to get him in, but I was like, you're going to have to work for free and no masks, and you got to hang out with Rand Paul. And they were like, they gave me the finger, and now they work for him.
And I will not stop
welcome,
until
Logan.
we win. This will be a great victory.
It's going to be a great victory. You guys are going to be carrying me on your shoulders. You don't realize how good you got it.
This is going to be a victory.
So good.
And it's going to be a victory that, in my opinion, will happen much sooner than originally expected.
originally expected? What do you mean when you said it was going to go away, wash through overnight, weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago, and you're like, I don't think it's a big deal. I thought it was going to go away like that. Now this is going to be even faster because technically speaking, time flows forward. We're closer to the end.
It's now attacking.
Is it?
The enemy is attacking.
It's attacking. This virus is trying to kill us all. It's a Chinese soldier.
144 countries at this moment. 144.
Yeah, and don't look at their death rates and their testing rates and compare them to ours, okay?
That's unthinkable. There's never been anything like this.
No, nothing like this. Nothing like 9/11 or the Spanish flu or the tuberculosis epidemic where they were burning people.
And it's vicious. It is vicious. Some people
So vicious. This is so mean. Honestly, this is so rude. Yeah, I don't drink. I'm not drunk.
recover well, and some people have a hard time. We all know that. But we will be totally victorious. We will then get our economy up to a level that it was, and in my opinion, beyond.
Will be even better now that the unemployment numbers will be there'll be a lot of jobs open when people are dead.
Because that will be a pent-up demand. There is a pent-up demand.
I have a pent-up demand to go to the rub and tug
And
outside of Mar-a-Lago with some of my football friends.
a lot of great things will hahappen. But I'm very proud of our
So
country.
good.
I'm very proud.
Lucky you.
I'm very proud to be your president. And
I'm very. You should, don't.
it's just something
That you're lucky about
that's just, you're very special people.
to put up with me.
So thank you very, very much. And I'm going to ask, if I might, a combination of Pete, why don't you start off, okay?
Pete, why don't you read some of the stuff? Everyone will feel so much better.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Just a little bit about what we're doing in Washington, California, and New York.
In New York.
We understand that the states of Washington, New
Alvy Singer. I saw you on the Johnny Carson show.
York, and California are the areas seeing a steady increase in COVID-19 virus
COVID-19?
Cases. In order to assist with additional needs identified in those areas, the state of New York was approved for a major disaster and declaration this morning. Washington State was also approved earlier today. California submitted their request, and the president will consider it immediately.
Oh, is he? Immediately? Is that what he's doing? Because it looks like he's standing next to you, waddling. Are we watching a man consider something in real time? I'm over here considering things. This is my considery face.
We have
This
medical
is my
supplies en
considery
route to these states,
waddle.
including respirators, surgical masks, gowns, face shield,
See, all this stuff is coming. By the way, my arms don't work.
coveralls, gloves, with quantities already delivered to both
Delivered.
Washington, New York, and California.
You bastard.
And we anticipate additional supplies to be delivered within the next 42 hours to all these states. Under President Trump's unprecedented national emergency declaration on March 13, FEMA is assisting state, local, tribal, and territorial governments, including
Mm-hmm. We are? Wait, when did that shit start?
reimbursing
In the law.
eligible
I love how they're like everything that's written into the FEMA laws about these kind of circumstances, all the pandemic response stuff. That's what like Jade Helm and all these kind of things that they freak out. FEMA exercises, all that stuff that FEMA does to prepare for stuff like this. And they're all of a sudden they're like, that was my idea. I thought of that. All me.
emergency protective measures taken.
Hey guys, guess what we thought about? Hey, you know what? How about in emergency we enact the emergency laws and rules that are already on the books? Eh?
At the
How about that? At the direction of the president. Because without his direction, even though he signed it because it's a bill.
direction or guidance of public health officials in response to this emergency. All 50
Wait, what? No. That's supposed to be me. Not direction of public health officials. I tell you, look, Clorox and Kool-Aid, drink it.
states, the District of Columbia, 5 territories, and 2 tribes are working directly with FEMA under the nationwide emergency declaration for COVID-19. with the
How long does COVID-19 stay on feathers? Asking for a friend.
assistance of the FEMA regional administrators who are throughout the country, we are working to
I have some casino buddies.
address the needs of state and local officials everywhere. States, tribal, and territorial governments do not need to request separate emergency declarations to receive FEMA assistance
Stop calling my office, man.
under this nationwide
You don't have to do it. It's already in the thing. We sent you the memo yesterday.
declaration.
You bastard.
The emergency declaration does not authorize direct funding.
Look how Pence is holding his presidential 15 days to stop the spread thing like he's cradling like a baby. I cannot wait till I get my shot at that podium to show the president what a real ass kissing looks like. I mean, honestly.
Financial
Meanwhile, the cardboard cutout of the Surgeon General is looking better and better every day. I mean, is he adding stripes to his sleeves just by doing this thing? Or is that so he doesn't get hit by a car when he's jogging?
assistance available to individuals such as
They're very bright, I'm just saying.
disaster unemployment assistance or other needs assistance at this time. Just a note
I'm considering California right now.
on the USNS Mercy.
I'm considering.
Based on analysis of potential needs for hospital beds on the West Coast, the decision was made that the USNS hospital ship Mercy would have the greatest impact in California. The department
Because it's on the West Coast, it's down in San Diego getting repaired, and the one that's on the East Coast wouldn't have as good an impact? What?
of Defense has been given direction to dispatch it to Los Angeles immediately.
As soon as it's seaworthy,
DoD has advised
which might be another week.
that the Mercy can get into position within a week or less of today's order. Even though there are more cases right now in Washington, the projected needs for beds in California is 5 times more that of Washington. The Mercy will be used
Thanks,
to take
Lenny.
pressure off local hospitals.
Well, California, I don't know if you notice, but there's a lot more people in that state than Washington State. Do you know that? I didn't know that till this happened. That's like a big state. Like I saw it on the map. I know it's a lot of ground, right? But I had no idea that there's like all these people. I thought it was all like Stockton. I talked to Nunez once a week. He's always over here going, yeah, I got plenty of property. Apparently, these people are living on top of each other. It's like a whole state of Manhattan compared to
hospitals, other medical needs, and not for treating COVID-19 cases.
I'm not going anywhere near that stuff.
And finally, a little bit about the National Guard. The federal
There is no martial law. Relax.
government continues to take aggressive action
Don't listen to Sean Hannity.
and proactive steps to address the COVID-19 threat as we attack the health and safety or protect the health and safety of the American people. It remains our top priority.
Priority.
The National Guard is especially posted and equipped to assist federal, state, local agencies while serving the public. In response to this unprecedented nationwide operation, President Trump has approved Washington, California, and New York National Guard units under Title 32.
National Guard units. So, no, it's not God. It's Gord. Get it right. National Guard is getting there.
Title 32 status for the COVID-19 response.
Now, McGruber 11, we're not letting everyone out of prison, you maniac. They're probably, a bunch of them are probably safer in there as long as they keep the place clean. You gotta release a bunch of murderers onto the street because...
The president's action provide the nation's
I got a great idea.
governors
The Purge.
continued command of the National Guard forces, enabling state
The National Guard forces, and of course our National Guard is Jesus Christ, superstar, my personal Lord and Savior. All those other ones are false prophets. Probably why we have this problem, you abortion bastards. Thanks
to
to
use additional
Christina.
resources to meet the missions necessary in the COVID-19 response.
So good. You know what I mean? National Guard.
The National Guard is a viable and responsive avenue to provide a much-needed asset that is state-managed and federally supported. And I want to be clear, this Title 32 activation does not federalize National Guard members.
We are not, this is not a UN plot that Alex Jones was talking about to gather up guns and incinerate Republicans in FEMA camps near Area 51 where lizard people are eating human milkshakes. Okay? I'm sick of getting those calls. I got business to take care of. I got books to read on how big California is. It's ridiculous.
The National Guard
I have to watch. You know what? If you guys make me watch Schoolhouse Rock, I'm going to, honest to God, I'll be on Fifth Avenue. And I will lose some voters.
is still under the authority of each governor. They will work in concert with the Department of Defense And we've had a lot of disinformation circling, and I want to make
Do we?
sure it is understood that this is not martial law.
Law. It's not martial law. In case you ever thought, it's kind of like, Lord of the Rings, like law, where you're reading a story like a legend. It's not that. It's not martial law.
The Department of Defense, by way of a mission assignment, will lead this task. And then finally, we continue to respond to hundreds of requests from governors across the country in filling all their critical needs. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Pete, very much.
Good job. Good job. Good job talking to the people, doing the stuff that you were legally mandated to do. Who would have thought that in my presidency, people would be doing the bare minimum?
Good job. Peter Navarro?
Thank you, sir.
Peter
Thank
Navarro,
you,
you
Mr.
wanna-
President. Good evening. What I want to talk briefly about is the Defense Production Act. And to get
And the fact that the president signed it but didn't implement it before he said he would implement it after somebody told him to implement it, and he got everybody. I don't want Schumer to write history. It's our job to rewrite it.
give you the overview here, using the full power of private enterprise and the full force of the federal government.
So we are partnering with Chick-fil-A right now.
My job at the White House is to make sure, tactically, working with FEMA and HHS, the American people, particularly
All right, Baldy with the glasses on your head. Hunker down. What are you doing over here? What's that guy doing?
our healthcare professionals, get the gloves, the masks, and all of the personal protective equipment they need. And
My job to field those phone calls and tell them to go get it themselves.
I can tell you, sir, that since you signed the Defense Production Act, my job's gotten easier. And let me
Good. Look at me. I did a good thing. I signed it. I didn't implement it, but
explain why.
because even by not implementing it, just by signing it, anybody who has half a friggin' brain can jump on and use it, even if I don't.
The Defense Production Act, in this context, has two primary functions. One is mobilization of the industrial base, in this case, the public health industrial base, and
Which is the part he hasn't implemented.
the other is allocation of resources, both from the supply chain to the manufacturers and from the manufacturers to the end users, such as the healthcare professionals.
Right. So businesses who already know about this stuff because they've had briefings with Homeland Security after 9/11 will know that, hey, if we need special gear and like gas masks for a chemical attack or something, you guys are going to be the first to call. So just be aware of that, and you'll get a tax break for it. But because we may call you up, and if something like this goes down and it's obvious that things are going south, those guys will be the first to call in.
Now,
Now,
what we're seeing on a purely voluntary basis, based on the leadership of this administration,
because the president is in charge.
we're seeing the greatest mobilization of the industrial base since World War II. And every day
Huh?
I'm working with organizations and companies, National
With the biggest need for a mobilization like this since World War II.
Association of Manufacturing, the National Council of Textile Organizations, and so on, in terms of building
Did he just almost check his watch? I'm not wearing a watch. Ooh, I got to get out of here.
up rapidly our capabilities to get what you need. Now, let's think about what mobilization means.
All right. I'm thinking, what does it mean? Does it mean that Exxon Mobil stations?
It can mean, for example, repurposing a factory. So Pernod Ricard called us last week,
She is so hot. I saw her. Was she Miss Peru?
and they had 3 hurdles they had to deal with.
Yeah, they called the White House saying, hey, we can make this stuff, but we need permission legally, so you need to get out of our way to do it. This is really common. They're aware. That's what I'm talking about. These companies have had meetings with Homeland Security. They're big parts of the industry in the United States require government intervention in case of an emergency. He didn't think this up. They called him.
They called my office, had to make a
Right.
call to Treasury, FDA, and HHS to
because they already knew who to call and what to say. They told me who to call and what to say. I called them and said it, and now it's done. Got it? I mean, I don't understand what you guys don't understand about yes. All right.
clear the path. We got that done that day.
Because it was already legal to do without the signing of the Defense Appropriations Act. It had nothing to do with it.
They started
That had nothing to do with it. The Defense Appropriations Act has nothing to do with that part of it. Anybody can volunteer to do that in an emergency under the FEMA guidelines. And if you say yes, they get reimbursed in tax breaks. This is not, I love how he's like, if the president hadn't woken up in the middle of the night.
their production that day, moving from alcoholic beverages to hand sanitizers, and as we speak, a truck.
I had to call the highway patrol to get people to, if you get pulled over and you smells like you've been drinking, son, and you're like, no, I'm just keeping my hands clean. You'll get away with it. That new bourbon scented hand sanitizer is just down home.
Truck is moving towards New York and will arrive there Tuesday to share with the hospitals over 1,000 gallons of sanitizer. So that
Mr. President.
that would be a repurpose. A second example would be one that the president offered with Honeywell. Again, Honeywell called the White House asking for help from the
Yep, I got it right here. Got a check right here for Honeywell, and I'm expecting them to pay me.
president. And
What's he getting out of his pocket? Is he going to pull a? Is the president got a carry permit?
what they said is, look, we want to do this.
Oh, I got a guy's business card from Honeywell. I met him yesterday. He was like, "Do you need a smart home thermostat?" And I was like, "Sweet."
New factory in Smithfield, Rhode Island. They called
Put that back. Oh,
me
you
on a
what? Now?
Friday morning. And by that night, we had a contract in to HHS. HHS flipped that immediately, and I had Honeywell moving people and equipment from Massachusetts to that facility in Smithfield, Rhode Island, and we're going to have those masks produced within 30 days, moving on the assembly chain.
So Honeywell is going to get a brand new factory out of this. All the tooling, all the setting up of this will be paid for by the taxpayers. And when all this is over, the cost of that, of building a factory from, basically making that factory exist, getting the equipment and putting that together, will be on the public's tit. And going forward, they'll be able to turn it into whatever they want to manufacture stuff. And the cost of that entire factory is zero for them. No wonder they're all rushing to do this, because when they go back to repurposing, the government's going to pay them to retool the factory to go back to normal.
Okay, so my point is, mobilization is repurposing, building up capabilities. And the other.
And they're going to go back to, Honeywell will transfer their machines to making regular home filters again and selling them at the same price to the same people, but their entire factory was free.
Other portion.
That's one of those. Those are the kind of tax breaks that companies try to get when they move into an area that you can't. Like that, the taxpayers go, wait a minute, why are we? These are the kind of tax breaks sports teams get for stadiums for free.
Is, of course, the allocation of resources. Now, what I can tell you so far
is nothing.
Is that the Defense Production Act, sir, has given me quiet leverage. When you have a strong leader.
Quiet leverage. There's no such thing. All of the stuff he's talking about was legal without that.
You can take a light hand initially. And so.
What? When you have a strong leader, you can take a light hand initially? A tiny hand, some would even say. Teensy, tiny hands. You could, if you got a strong leader, you can, oh my God, they're awful.
What we've seen with this outpouring of volunteers from private enterprise, we're getting what we need without putting the heavy hand of government down. There will be possibly cases down the road, and the manufacturers have actually asked me and alerted me this, where some places in the supply chain, they may have problems that the White House will have to break through using the Defense Production Act. We won't hesitate to do that. The last thing I'll tell you is that
he hasn't had to use it at all. This is unbelievable bullshit. Literally, he's just giving the president credit for signing something that he hasn't implemented, and congratulating him on a part of the law that was already in place once a national emergency was declared.
I also get a lot of calls that are very disquieting.
And I wish you guys wouldn't call me.
Brokers are offering millions of items, whether they're goggles, masks, or whatever, and you go through 3 different brokers, trace into a warehouse in LA that's allegedly got 10 million masks, and they want to charge you 7 times what they cost. That's price gouging. We are a message to the hoarders: if you got any large quantities of material that this country needs right now, get them to market or get them to us. We'll pay you a fair price. But if you don't do that, we're going to come for you and make sure that doesn't happen in this country, and that would be a good use.
Well, I mean, honestly, people should be able to make a profit. Like, look how he's not sold on that. Look how Trump is not.
The Defense Production Act. So I salute you, sir. You've made my job easier, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you for kissing my ass before and after.
Very much. Great job. Mike, please.
I'd like to thank the president for being not just a hero to all of us, but for allowing me to stand downwind of him as he, I mean, the wind he breaks is beneath my wings.
Thank you, Mr. President. Task Force met this afternoon, as we do every day.
Oh, good. All right. And boy, are we bored. I mean, we're really just,
And let me begin today by simply saying thank you to the American people.
thank you, American people, for continuing to get sick and continuing to die.
And thank you for the way that people across this country, 7 days into 15 days to slow the spread.
We're 7 days into 15. We have to start a new 15 days now because halfway in, you assholes.
The people in communities large and small across America are responding, are cooperating, are communicating, not just on behalf of their own health and the
Yes, they're communicating via, they're talking to each other through screens. It's like we're all in a small porn shop putting quarters in a machine so that we can watch somebody dance like Madonna in the True Blue era, which is my personal favorite.
health of their family, but
But the important thing is watching me fondle my own breasts. Thank you, Christina F. If only for not only for donating, but also for covering Pence's face with my personal symbol. I'll move this over here. We'll cover up Trump a little bit. This is the amazing part. Look, Trump's dozing off already. Oh God.
more importantly, on behalf of the most vulnerable among us.
Yeah, please, patreon.com/AlSparks. Support me while I'm doing this. This may be, for the foreseeable future, my way of getting along for me and my family and my kid, because performing stand-up is going to be a tough one these days. We're all Gallagher now.
So on
That's everything.
behalf of your president and our entire task force, just thank you to the American people.
Thank you for not storming the White House with torches after we have talked out of our ass for days on end. Honestly, I don't know how you stop yourself. I mean, I almost storm into the residency just when I know the president's there with, some lube and those bath bombs.
I also want to express our appreciation to the governors across the country.
Well, not so much. I mean,
President today just announced action in New York, California, and Washington State as the latest demonstration that this
governors can do the job far better than we can. And especially, honest to God, when New York and California have populations almost equal to Italy and nearly the same amount of economic power, as the entire United States. Between them, how many bankruptcies did you have, Mr. President? God, you're a smart.
administration will do whatever it takes to support the leadership at the state and local level as the American people
I'm waddling. Get on with it, Mike.
confront the
Kiss my ass again. Come on, kiss it. My ass again.
spread of the coronavirus. The legislative efforts that are
Ask or ass. Some people say it. I call it an ask. An ass kissing is what I like.
underway, being negotiated on Capitol Hill as we speak. The bipartisan spirit that's taking place there,
Unbelievable.
that's reflected in all of our interactions
Oh,
with state leaders around the country.
I have. We've reached across the aisle. Once Rand Paul found out he was positive for coronavirus, I've never seen someone reach across the aisle so quickly.
Is a great credit to the nation, but it should be a great encouragement to the American people that
He couldn't wait to get his hands on Nancy Pelosi's gavel.
your government, at the
By the way, the disease stays on surfaces for 3 days, Mr. President. No one's cleaned this podium. I can tell from the smell.
federal level,
Thank you,
at
Dutch.
the state level, working with courageous healthcare providers all across America, are coming together to meet this moment. And that is the way our system works. It's extremely important that the American people recognize that one of the things that makes America different is that we have a system of federalism, and that by putting FEMA in the lead, the president has emphasized that our response to the coronavirus is in the anthem of FEMA. It is
Anthem of FEMA? What?
locally executed, state managed, and federally supported. We want the people on the ground.
Really? That's how it works? I don't think so. I think it works like this. You come up with ideas, I claim them as mine, you fill me with cake, and you rub oil on my belly. What am I not understanding?
The decision makers to have
Well, that's also true, Mr. President.
what they need. We want states to be able to manage the unique circumstances in their states. And whether it be the legislation
We want the states to take care of this so the president and I can go back to spooning.
moving through the Congress or the efforts the president announced today, major disaster declarations, Title 32 on the
you,
National
Mama.
Guard, resources flowing, hospital beds flowing.
Hospital beds flowing? What? It's like a cornucopia, Mr. President, of just beds. Whenever I look at you, I see beds coming out of a giant gourd.
We're going to continue
The National Gourd? No, the National God.
to make sure that our states have what they need to meet this moment.
What they need, what I need.
Our task
what
force
you-
continues
what
to
you can
focus on
get.
the priorities the president's given us. They are testing, mitigation, and supplies. And on the subject of testing, as is evident to people across the country, testing is more and more available every single day. We'll be detailing tomorrow from this
Thank you.
podium the progress that we are making on tests. At this day's reporting, 254,000 Americans have been tested and received results in
254,000. That is less than, let's see, millions and millions, many millions and millions, minus 200 and how many?
coronavirus tests,
Yeah.
with slightly more than 30,000 actually testing positive. There's a bit of an encouraging word in that for every American. Remember, everyone that's being tested now, with the exception of our healthcare workers, are people that have symptoms that make them think they may have the
No, or people who come into contact with people, or what the hell? Thank you, Gene. Appreciate that.
coronavirus. And as our numbers come in consistently, because the 254,000 does not include all the
okay,
local
Box,
hospitals or all the local labs in our states, it's working out to be about 1 in 10 Americans who've been tested who thought they had coronavirus.
10% have it. Yeah. 10% of 340 million people have it. And that's, you're under testing right now, jackass.
Actually had it. 9 out of 10 did not.
9 out of 10 don't actually have it. But they went someplace, thank you, Gene, went someplace where they could get it.
But we'll continue to roll out the testing to provide that resource to the American people. And we're working to make testing happen faster. We expect from word from the commercial labs that we should be caught up on the backlog in testing by the middle of the week. And we are urging today, on the president's behalf, that all labs would prioritize inpatient testing. Let me say again, to all of the commercial labs in the country, you will receive guidance from HHS tomorrow. But on behalf of the President and the White House Coronavirus Task Force, we are urging all commercial labs to prioritize inpatient testing. We want people that have been checked into a hospital.
Yeah, so you can clear the beds for the people you know are coming, because we are 3 weeks behind Yeah, exactly, Hal Vickery. That's 340,000 people. That's and a minimum, and that's there. That there's not enough beds for those people.
That are being treated for what they
Oh,
suspect
whatever,
in
dude.
our country, with the cooperation, compassion, generosity, and prayers of the American people.
Oh, that's what. Well, okay, as long as we've got a scientific strategy for it. By the way, I'm not anti-prayer, and I think it does have an impact in your life. It's not topical, though. You know what I'm saying? It's not a, it's sort of a long-term strategy for overall, positive aspects of your life. It's not going to just get all right.
We can slow the spread.
And I like it when he takes his time. Oh, I'll take my time, Mike. Don't you worry.
We can protect the most vulnerable, and we can heal our land. So let's do it, America.
Thank you, Mike, very much.
Thank you, Mike. That sounded very. It reminds me of the Native Americans when they said that, healing our land. That is, this land is our land, and to all the immigrants, I say, this land is not your land. Go home.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mike.
Thank you very much, Mike. So if we slow roll this, people without any kind of health care, they will get it and die. Hopefully, that'll
So,
save us a bunch of money.
just a couple of little things that will take some questions.
What the other two? Oh, touch your face, right, don't you, FEMA guy? Go ahead. Blow your nose and just wipe it on his back.
Maybe you will have
Oh.
some, maybe you won't.
What was that? Just a Russian handkerchief right there.
That'd be a shock.
I like to do press jokes.
You will shock the American public. But I have to say on the testing, if this works out, and we think it might,
We think totally good.
the new test will be a very simple one, much easier than the existing test, which is quite complex and not a lot of fun to take. And this will be a game
He's seen it. He has still not taken it.
changer. But remember, we inherited
Yeah, that's right, Sharon. Trump just farted as soon as he walked up, and the FEMA guy's like, Pence is getting used to it, but this guy's like, Jesus, what is that?
a broken, obsolete system. It was
You're on DC 2257.
good for a small number of people, but not good for the millions of people that we're talking about. And we've made this into a system that no matter where you go in the world, that's where they're going. That's what they want to do. That's how they're going to be doing it. Should something like this happen again,
They're going to be following our lead. They're going to have a checklist based on America. 1, don't have a big orange dipshit in charge of your country. Check.
so our
2, drive-through testing
people have done a
and free Chick-fil-A coupons.
fantastic job, really a fantastic job. And I hope
Fantastic. And 3, do a fantastic job. Get good reviews. Smash hit.
the new test works out. We'll know fairly soon, I think, Doctor. We're going to be knowing
Doctor, are we going to know if the test is going to, honestly? Do we, Doctor?
about that fairly soon. Hopefully it'll check out or test out.
Get it? See what I did there?
And we certainly are looking forward to that. That will be a very simple test by comparison. Won't be unpleasant at all.
No, people will be lining up. The tests are going to be a huge hit.
And one other thing, the ships.
The ships, so good. They're already there. They've been sitting at their ghost ships. They've already been.
So we have the Mercy, and it's going to California, as you know. That's
It's in California. It's in San Diego. It's in dry dock, being repaired, whatever.
on the West Coast now.
We already sent it when it was already. We sent it when it was already there, and now it's arrived after it's already been there. So good.
And you have a
Like the masks you already have and don't know you're already wearing.
sister ship that's essentially a twin. They're
I like twins. I've had twins a couple of times in my life. I mean, very seldom do they speak English, but they're, and they're not cheap. I'm not gonna lie.
incredible. I mean,
Incredible twins.
they're incredible ships. I've seen it. I've seen
Pictures of it.
one of them.
Oh, well, then good. So they're not imaginary, guys. Just so you know, he's seen them.
And they are
White.
unbelievable what they can do and the capacity. Many operating rooms, they're wartime ships. They're meant for war.
I don't know if you know that, but I'm a wartime president. I'm in the Chamberlain of infectious disease.
Many, many operating rooms, stainless steel. These rooms are as good as there is anywhere in the nation, actually. I spoke with
They're good. You know, boats are no longer made out of wood. I don't know if you know that. I was like, "Where's the Mayflower?"
Governor
And they
Cuomo
were like, "These are better." And I was like, "I don't know. The Mayflower bought the Pilgrims. Best people till me."
we had a great conversation today, a number of conversations actually. He's working very hard. And we are going to be bringing that ship that's called the Comfort.
It's called the Comfort. And yeah, by the way, these boats are not going to be for people who have COVID-19. They are going to be for people who need normal care. So imagine this: the hospitals are jacked full of COVID cases. People are drowning in their own lung fluids. They're desperately trying to keep them alive. And then you have a car accident. Or if you're working 24/7 on an industrial line and then you get your hand severed, they're going to need to triage you and then put you on a boat to get you to the boat.
You have the Mercy and the Comfort. The Comfort's on the east
Nina and the Pinta and the Santa Maria.
coast. And that ship will be coming over the next 3 weeks.
It'll be very comforting. The Mercy, they just have hammers there. Just put you out of your mercy, out of your misery. They just give you mercy. And then the Comfort is like it's like the executive suite version.
4 weeks. It's being, it was in the middle of maintenance, and we are moving the maintenance very, very quickly. And
Yeah, we are. I've been working on that ship night and day. Seriously, I smashed my thumb trying to redo the rivets on there last night. I came straight from there. This is the suit I wear for ship repair.
we're also supplying the ship simultaneously. It's actually big supplies going into those ships.
The huge supplies.
And that ship will be coming up here over the next few weeks, and we'll probably be putting it in New York Harbor.
Probably, we don't know, but we'll see in the next couple of weeks. In the next,
And we're making arrangements for that also as to where.
what's the arrangement? What do you need to do? As soon as it's done, sail it to this port. Done. What arrangements? Well, we're trying to make sure that the bars are stocked.
It's going to be
You know, because sailors come aboard, and then you gotta, hookers get tired.
docked. So
You gotta get a dock. See if there's a dock.
you have the Mercy and you have the Comfort. They'll be coming up.
Up.
The Mercy
up,
will.
and the Mercy will go down again later if it has to. Ups and downs. I've also seen, because they move the boats up and down and left and right, and sometimes a boat will do that while it's going.
Start very, very quickly. It'll be arriving in Los Angeles pretty soon. So we look forward to that.
We look forward to that. I'm planning a party. It's like Fire Festival, but better, on a boat and not on fire.
Question?
You want a question? Dirty, awful person.
ABC.
Thank you. First of all, Senator Paul testing positive. When's the last time you had in-person contact with him?
Gee, I think it was quite a while ago. I don't
But
know.
also,
It's been a long time.
On top of Senator Paul, now 4 senators are in isolation, and the rules say that in order to vote, they have
Who
to
are
be
they,
there.
please? Who are they?
Who are these people? You don't know, jackass? What is this?
Romney, Senator Lee,
Senator Gardner,
Senator Gardner,
Senator
and
Rick Scott.
Senator Rick Scott. Also, 2 of them were in contact.
I don't believe you.
I guess Rick is
with
coming
Rand.
out.
With the critical stimulus package vote expected.
Romney's in isolation?
Yes.
Yes.
Gee, that's too bad.
Dude. I hope he doesn't get sick. Oh,
Detect sarcasm there?
no.
Sir?
None whatsoever.
Do you
Thank you, Lee.
think that Congress should consider changing the rules to allow them to vote remotely if it comes to this critical stimulus
I
package?
was thinking about it today, and I'm
I was thinking that'd be great or whatever, if you could vote with deep fake being what it is. I was talking to Putin about that yesterday. That if we create a deep fake for every senator, set up a situation where they have to vote remotely, by the time anybody figures it out,
saying, you could have a lot of senators and a lot of House members.
not even have to come here.
Spoke last night with a very, very good man who happens to be in the House, as you know, and
Ooh.
he's just started, and he tested positive. So you could have a large number of people in there from Congress. You could have.
A lot of great people are testing positive. It's the thing. You know what I mean? It's the hip. The kids are all doing it. It's
Between
the
houses.
rage. It's the next best thing to going to spring break.
Senate, you could have a large number, and I think it's something, at least, I mean, I fully understand why you should be there. I think it may be a constitutional reason why you should, but we could be in a position where I would certainly be in favor of it, where they could vote from
I would vote for Mar-a-Lago if I could. Like if they put a button on my golf club and you could tell whether like sign, not sign.
a certain outside location. I would be in favor of it. I was thinking about it today. I mean, we could be in this, look, with what's going on, nobody's ever seen anything like this. You could have a lot of people in there from Congress. And it would certainly be, they may tell me there's a reason constitutionally, and there may be, but I would be totally in favor of it on a temporary
It
basis.
does seem like negotiations still have a ways to go on the stimulus package. Are you concerned about the timing at all and the
Well,
message it sends?
we have an interesting thing. You know, we all want to get to the same place, but
Apparently not. If you all want to get to the same place, then
we have different. We want to, and I just wrote this down just a little while ago. We want to protect the worker very much. So do they. So do the Democrats. We also want to protect the worker through their companies.
see, that's just the difference. See, there's a difference between they want to protect the workers and we want to protect the workers through their company. And there's a very different kind of. Now, I don't want to put a rule in there about stock buybacks. I don't like them, and I would very much tell them to, wait till the bottom comes. You definitely. I'm not for. I'm sorry. Something's wrong with my eye. But I'm against stock buybacks.
Don't want to necessarily. We're going to help the worker anyway,
Yeah, you might as well help them through the business.
but ideally,
How can you get the money to the business except pretending to give it to the workers? People are going to get pissed.
they can go back to one of their great companies. You know, you have great companies that are
Great companies
in financial trouble now,
like Amazon and the Washington Post and
and we need money
Carrier,
to help those companies so they get back
General Motors. I was against the auto bailout, but now General Motors is going to be making respirators. So, and now I'm for it.
into where they should be, health. You know, most of these companies 4 weeks ago were having the best year they've ever had. Last year was the best year, almost all of them, other than Boeing, which is incredibly had problems. Big percentage of GDP. But we have to be able to work with Boeing. Boeing was a great company and will be a great company again, I think, shortly. So we have to work with the company.
We have to make sure that our defense contractors keep getting paid so that they don't start selling secrets to the highest bidder to pay off their gambling debts.
And they don't want to do that. It's crazy. They don't want to do that. I don't want stock buybacks, so I don't know where the problem is there, but I know that's one of the things that they're talking about. I do not want stock buybacks. I don't want to give a bailout to a company and then have somebody go out and use that money to buy back stock in the company and raise the price and then get a bonus.
But I don't want them to put it in the law so I could just say, well, you can't trust some people.
Okay, so I may be Republican, but I don't like that. I want them to use the money for the workers. I want them to use the money for the company, to help the company in the airline business, to take care of their planes and all of the things they have to do.
Planes and the little flashlights with the orange things on them and the little cute trucks with the luggage. I don't fly, commercial, but you know what I mean.
Including buying new planes, but I don't want stock. I don't want to have any stock buybacks.
But I don't want to put it in the law because the Republican Party won't. No one will sign it.
The Democrats are with me. I don't know what the problem is on that.
Then, let's see, you want to do it. The Democrats want to do it. What would be the thing that's holding that up? What is it? What could possibly? There's something in here. Independence. Bernie Sanders. He's the one. That's who's holding out.
Because I can't imagine that is.
I just think they should be able to buy their stocks back. I mean, companies are hurting. The 1% is hurt more than anyone. Technically, if you look at it, you lose your life savings. That's like $16. They lose their life savings. It's like billions. It's just important. So no, they should be able to do stock buybacks. I disagree with the Democrats and my Republican colleagues. Yeah, he's the one that's holding out.
Too tough. We want to be able to take care of our people. You're going to have things coming up. We're going to have some of the elements that they're talking about. They're down to, I mean, literally 95% of things that you would think that they wouldn't agree, and you'd think the Republicans wouldn't agree to it. And unemployment, as an example, is one of the things they talk about, and unemployment insurance. I think we're very close on that, but, you know, right now they're not. So right now they're not there. But I think that the Democrats want to get there, and I can tell you for a fact the Republicans want to get there, and I don't think anybody actually has a choice. It's a bold package. It's a big package.
Don't say package, Mr. President. Honestly, just wonderful. It makes me want to gesture like I'm playing with my.
We do have money for, one of the things is we do have money for saving small businesses. I don't imagine the Democrats, because we have a lot of money set aside for small businesses. We also have a lot of money set aside for big businesses, you know.
Big businesses, small businesses, wide, fat, skinny, all kinds of businesses.
The big, powerful companies that were powerful 4 weeks ago, and today they're overextended. Look at the cruise line. That's a tremendous business, a big business, very important to Florida. And it's unthinkable a month ago. It's just unthinkable. They were setting all sorts of records. They're building new ships. We can't let the cruise lines go out of business. I mean, that would be massive numbers of jobs for our country. And
Sorry, I know the cruise ship business is very big, and it's a worldwide business. But when you think of like crucial industries in the United States, the president is talking about the ship industry like the Obama administration talked about the auto industry. Honest to God, like I recognize that. I mean, I performed on a cruise, and it was horrifying last year, filling in for a friend of mine, and it was just terrible. But I know a lot of people like to do them, and I know they make a lot of money, but these aren't crucial industries by any stretch. This is like someone coming out. This is literally like him going, "We have a lot of good industries in this country, you know, very important. Some of them make, you know, the entire like people who make cannolis, for example, like, you know, I understand we need to save the egg market, and it's very important, farmers and whatnot. But our first priority is to one particular cannoli I like from one particular shop.
Actually for the world, but for our country, it's a massive business.
It's huge, massive, gigantic business, so businessy business.
And it doesn't take much to keep them going. So we
Afloat, is that the word you were looking for?
have to provide for that.
Why?
But I think,
By the way, everybody works on a cruise ship. If they receive unemployment insurance until the ship goes back into service, the boats aren't going to become less seaworthy over time, and the minor crew necessary to keep them in dry dock for months at a time. I mean, that's fairly common.
both the Democrats and the Republicans are
really concerned with cruise ships. What?
agreed that we have to take care of our workers, and we're going to be doing that in numerous ways, including a
Cruise ships.
substantial cash payment. Yeah, please.
When it comes
Substantial cash payment. I'm buying votes straight out the door. What I'm trying to do is hold off on that cash payment until as close to November as possible,
to the Defense Production
and until I can make sure that the Democrats who suggested it are sick.
Act, we know that governors across the country all day today were pleading with you to utilize the DPA,
Well,
saying that they
depends
need it
which governors you're
specifically
talking
for
Not the good governors, the bad governors.
that allocation piece that you
He didn't allocate. Like, and look at the FEMA guy. You lady, ooh, you big meanie. You do not say that to our president, okay? No.
mentioned, Mr. Navarro. Why not use it now if that would answer their pleas for help?
Well, we are using it now. The fact
It's already been used. I don't know if you noticed, but it already happened.
that I signed it, it's in effect. But, you know, we're a country not based on nationalizing our business. Call a person over in Venezuela, ask them, how did nationalization of their businesses work out? Not
This isn't an emergency, jerkwad. This isn't nationalizing the oil. By the way, ask everybody in Alaska how they feel about like the state effectively shelling out residuals from the oil to everybody.
not too well.
That has nothing to do with this situation. This is about getting companies to make masks.
The concept of nationalizing our business is not a good concept. But I'll tell you why. As Peter said, we may have to use it someplace along the chain, but we're getting calls. Here's the beauty of it. If we go out and we want, let's say, masks, we don't know who to call on masks, but Hanes, who makes things
Underwear.
of cotton, various elements, lots of things. It's a
What do they make? Tell us about
great
it.
company. They called us.
I called the grape myself.
And they
I called the apple. I was like, who do I talk to?
said, we're going to make millions of masks.
I'm wearing the president's underwear right now.
We got a call today from 3M. There's a big article today, the head of 3M. They're going to make tremendous products, and they're
making Post-it masks where you don't even need a strap. They just stick it on your face.
more or less in that business. And if they're not, like for instance, General Motors spoke to us, Ford spoke to us about doing ventilators. The beauty is they're calling us. If you go the national route, nationalization route, we're going to tell a company to make a ventilator. They don't even know what a ventilator is.
I was going to call Vivid Video and go, you guys make things that go in down people's throats. Maybe you should make ventilators. And they're like, what's that? Nobody in this country doesn't know what a ventilator is right now. Honestly.
In the case of one company, they used to make them years ago, and they don't
GM.
know how to make them. You know, it's a very complex piece of equipment, frankly. So what we're doing is, I think Peter said it maybe better than anybody's going to say it. We have the threat of doing it if we need it. We may have to use it somewhere along the supply chain in a minor way. But we have millions of masks being done. We have respirators. We have ventilators. We have a lot of things happening right now. So just the threat of using it. But using it's actually a big deal. I mean, when this was announced.
So he didn't implement it. Can we just say this? Can we just say that at the beginning? It's like, I did use it. I put it in and I implemented it. But we don't want to implement it because it's very tough to do things that I haven't already done that I said I did.
It sent tremors through our business community and through our country. Because basically, what are you doing? You're talking about, you're going to nationalize an industry, or you're.
What? They got so scared when I brought it up. When I said I signed it, I got all these phone calls going, what? What are you doing?
You're going to nationalize. You're going to take away.
You're going to nationalize. You're going to steal you can tear my 3M factory out of my cold, dead fingers.
Companies. You're going to tell companies what to do. The truth is,
or they're going to have dead customers.
Most people.
They make stuff that they don't even sell in the United States. What do they care?
Well, nobody would know where to start.
They don't even know what a ventilator is. Who knows what kind of.
There are companies out there that you wouldn't think of that have called us that say, we can do ventilators. We used to do them years ago.
And we don't keep track of that stuff. That's the kind of stuff you'd have somebody from, I don't know, an Office of Pandemic Response and would know what companies could start making stuff that we needed specifically to it. I can't, whatever.
And they can do them in large quantities. If I call companies and say, you build ventilators, they don't even know what a ventilator is.
Nobody knows what a ventilator is. If I call up, like, a dildo factory and I'm like, hey.
So
if I call Starbucks and go, put down that Frappuccino, start making ventilators. Think of it as like an espresso machine that does oxygen instead of steam. And you could just have people stick their mouth on. They're like, what are you talking about?
It's really working out very well. One of the reasons I read the numbers to you.
Yeah, right, Beverly. I called Enterman's Bakery. Frango mints, they have no idea how to make.
Because we've given vast numbers of just about everything. We've taken it out of our supply, and we're restocking our supply. But
we have more stuff than we needed, so we're filling up on extra stuff now.
Really backing up the governors. The governors have to go out.
The governors have to go. I'm not their delivery service, not the mailman.
Do their things. And you have a lot of governors. They've done a fantastic job.
Fantastic. Some haven't. Some have. Some are taller and short.
Some that haven't.
Wider and fatter and skinny and tall. And
usually it's the ones that complain that have the problems.
You think? Usually it's the ones that complain that have the problems. What? Notice everybody without problems doesn't complain much.
But we've had a great relationship, as an example, with Governor Cuomo, with Governor.
I have a great relationship with all the big states that have plenty of money, who have been can solve their own problem. It's the West Virginias of the world that are screwing up my curve.
Newsom.
Yes, and Tremors is a classic for the record in chat room.
We've had a great relationship with the state of Washington. Those are three.
Inslee was screaming his head off. Both Cuomo and Newsom have basically realized we're on our own and have started handling it on their own because they have massive budgets compared to the rest of the states. They're literally calling the federal government and going, look, we can buy a lot of the stuff that we need. We're still behind. We still need more than we have. But if we buy it all, none of the flyover states that he counts on for staying in office will get anything. And once this disease starts rolling through there, thank you, Venus Flytrap. Once that starts rolling through there, they're doomed. They were
Three hotbeds. Those are three hotbeds.
hotbeds, but nothing has been hot. Don't say hotbed, Mr. President, right in front of me like that. Oh my God. Please break wind again.
Now, we're also dealing with other states. As the
Alabama, stupid.
Admiral said yesterday, we're dealing with all of the states, actually, in
All of them, even as it's almost like we're a federal government.
one form or another. Some are very affected in a very minor way, where you have two people or three people.
Like, kind of like Seattle had a couple weeks ago. They just have 2-3 people. It's probably basically over. Their numbers will go from 15 to 0 in like a very short period of time.
And I don't even mean deaths. I mean literally cases.
I don't mean deaths yet. Oh, you got it, Richard. I'm not letting him get by with one of these friggin' things.
And that's different than New York, where you have, tremendous.
Volumes of people. It's amazing. Most people didn't even know that California had a bigger. The FEMA guy just learned that California had more people than Washington State, and I just found out that they make more money for the country than and pay more taxes than all of the red states combined.
Everybody. I lived there for a long time. Everybody's extremely close, tight, and you have a lot of cases in New York. You have a lot of cases in New York.
Yeah.
And we're helping Governor Cuomo. We're helping
him to help us help the other states.
Governor Newsom. They've been total gentlemen. They want to get it done, and we want to get it done. But doing it the way we're doing.
If they're rude to me, then everyone in your state dies. They know the rules.
Doing it as much.
Kiss my ass or your people get killed. These guys up here know it. Indiana's getting every ventilator that besides the ones I'm going to be selling at Mar-a-Lago.
Better.
There's going to be ventilators in every guest room in Mar-a-Lago in a week.
Really much better.
Why do you think Florida got them so fast?
But in terms of I'm asking about the supply chain. It's about allocation, not about manufacturing. So the companies, it's not about nationalizing.
But you don't understand. We have too many ventilators. Stop. I don't know how to tell people this. They're like hoarding them. It's like toilet paper with these
companies. It's about the allocation.
We coordinate with the states, and we are coordinated with the states. And for the most part, the coordination's been very good. Look, 3 days ago, I had a phone call with all the governors. I actually allowed.
Not all of them, but just, I was there for an hour. That's a minute per governor minus the territories. Puerto Rico, who cares? We already spent too much money on them anyways. And they're already in an island. So if everybody gets it, unless somebody on a coconut raft tries to spread it to Florida. Is that where they're near? I don't remember.
The press to stay. They weren't supposed to stay. And one person in the media said, that was surprising. It's actually a little risky doing that because we had Democrats and we had Republicans. And,
What?
They're politicians and they always have something to say. Well, I took a lot of calls.
And you can, I don't know if you know this, but you can get it through a phone, a dirty phone.
And we really didn't get one nasty or bad response. They were
because if you do, your citizens of your state will die because this petty prick will turn off a spigot of masks to your state and it will kill your nurses and doctors. What the hell? They were very nice to me.
Thanking us for the job we did.
They were so, I don't even know why I even faced the phone. I should have just put my ass right to the receiver.
And I had the press standing. I don't know if you were there. I don't think so. I had the press standing there watching. They weren't supposed to be there, but I said, let them stand there.
Watch me pretending to work. They filmed me taking a nap It was great. They watched me doing all the things that Biden has been doing for 3 weeks already. Apparently, he's called every governor and spoken to them directly, coordinated with the pandemic response. And he is, whoops, why did that happen? That was weird. They do this to me all the time. Oh, the thing must have ended and they kick it off. That's weird. Hold on. Back up. Get back out of here, you rat.
Well, I could ask, but doing it the way we're doing it is much better. It's really much better.
But in terms of, I'm asking about the supply chain.
Complimentary, very, very complimentary. And I watched over the last few days Governor Cuomo. I watched Gavin Newsom in California. I watched both of them, and they've been, very complimentary. And
So good. They know.
those are really the hotbeds. And so we want to keep that going. I'm very
So I'm good. As
proud
long
of
as
this
they keep
country,
kissing
and I'm
my
frankly
ass,
very proud of a lot of
I'm
the
going to send them
politicians
stuff that
normally
they're
we're
already
fighting
buying themselves.
with. We have different views on things, a little different view. But
Like on whether or not you should grab a woman by the vagina,
we're going to get to the same
if you don't know her name and you just met her.
place. We have different views, but we're going to get to the same place. Yeah, please.
Yes, I wanted to ask if you're considering an executive order to free elderly, nonviolent criminals from federal prisons?
We have been,
I've been in direct talks with Harvey Weinstein, and he and I had I haven't laughed that hard in so long. We're moving him into the Lincoln bedroom where Melania is holed up. If we can just get her to take the nails out of the inside of the door.
asked about that, and we're going to take a look at it. It's a bit of a problem. But when we talk about totally nonviolent, we're talking about using totally
White collar criminals, what we're talking about.
nonviolent prisoners. We are actually looking at that, yes.
And a quick I wanted to ask also, your administration eliminated a key position in China in July, a medical epidemiologist embedded in China's disease control agency, and it was just
Look at that. Pence is like, when did they find that out?
months before the first cases were spotted in Wuhan. So the question is basically why the post was eliminated and
Well,
if that's whether-
I couldn't tell you. I eliminate posts all the time. Anything I think isn't important and isn't about.
Ask anybody, would you like to?
Anybody else want to tell why we eliminated the pandemic and disease response person from China after it was the site of the Chinese virus because you could technically say that just because it came from China, not having a person there, you could call this the Trump virus if this turns out to be true.
Take that
Does
one
anybody
back.
want to throw themselves under the bus?
But this is just like all of the other stuff that not you, but that the press was asking, all of which turned out to be, we actually gave CDC more money, not
No. Congress gave them more money. You tried to wipe it out, dickwad.
less money. They said we defunded. It turned out it was more money.
No. Congress gave it more money. You just didn't veto it because you didn't have it was in a bill you wanted to go through.
Every one of those things that were said were 100% wrong. And
No, they weren't.
this sounds like another one of them, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah,
This sounds like I'm just gonna guess.
as you know, CDC has offices all around the world right now to do our function to detect and prevent and respond to outbreaks where they occur. The China office is actually being augmented as we speak.
As we speak,
and we've
right now it is.
been embedded there for over 30 years. There's a reason they call it the Chinese CDC, because we've had that productive partnership.
Didn't answer the question. Why'd you remove the dude? Now you're putting it back in.
And I wish,
Uh,
again, our relationship with China is a very good.
So good, so good. Our relationship with the Chinese virus gets better every day. The Chinese virus wrote me a beautiful letter, and it promised not to test missiles. And I believe it. I believe it because we fell in love. The Chinese virus and I fell in love.
I wish they told us 3 months sooner that
3 months sooner than you knew, the disease didn't exist. You knew within 18 days. We knew by the time Li Wenliang died. We knew. They were giving him intelligence briefings. He's lying right now.
this was a problem.
We knew it was a problem.
We didn't know
I knew it was a problem. You can't tell me that the State Department and CIA didn't know it was a problem.
about it. They knew about it, and they should have told us.
They should have told us. and then we could have ignored it even longer.
We could have saved a lot of lives
No,
throughout the world.
you knew.
If you look at what's happening in Italy and Spain and a lot of other countries, we could have saved a lot of lives throughout the world. Kelly?
Mr. President, given the diagnosis for Senator Paul and people being self-quarantined, what concerns do you have about the direct threat to the function of the Senate, the ability to
Well, if Rand and Mitch come from the same state, and oh damn.
get this important package that people are waiting for
Let me talk to you about an important package, may I, Mr. President?
passed? And should Americans be expecting you to extend the 15 days, given the climate of how this is spreading at this point?
Well, I hope not, but then we might, but we probably have to, and we do, and we might not before we did, and we after we will.
Hope we won't have to.
I hope so. No, I hope that Clorox and Pop Rocks works great, and people are just drinking it, and then
Possible, but we'll have to see how that works. As far as the Senate is
I think it's going to be fantastic.
concerned, we are looking at some of the folks are feeling very good. Some are
They look terrific. It's funny. They're asymptomatic, so I feel like they should be allowed to take the bus.
are quarantined, but they're negative. They may be totally fine. Okay, others are positive. We're just finding this now for the first time. I mean, over
Yeah, dipshit. That's how infectious disease works.
the last 2 days, we found that.
Do you see it as a threat to the aid package that Americans are waiting for?
No, I don't see any threats at all.
No threats. There are no threats except for the invisible, unseen, not visible, hidden. I call it the hidden enemy of unseen invisibleness. That it's a war.
Honestly, I don't see any threats at all. It'll all work out. It is
It's
a
all gonna be
question.
great. It's going to be fantastic.
A very good question. I thought that we are considering, now, I don't know if you can do it constitutionally, but we are considering letting people vote, senators, congressmen and women, vote from a separate location, from a outside, namely a hospital or a home.
They're all gonna. Oh my God! He's basically going. If a senator is dying, we can squeeze one last vote out of him if we can make sure that stock buybacks are still legal.
Depending on where they are. So we are looking at that.
We are looking at everything. We're looking at the tall things and the short things, and we're looking at
River.
whatever tests you could do.
It's a little trickier question, most people would believe, but we are looking at that very
What?
strongly.
This is not tricky.
Mr. President, speaking of the Senate, I think Kelly was kind of alluding to it. While we've been up here, they weren't able to get the 60 votes to move the package for the cloture vote. I'm just curious, just your reaction to that, sir. And then, what is Mitch McConnell
You what?
telling you and Secretary Mnuchin?
Well,
Are
we're
they-
dealing with them all the time.
Well, now that Rand Paul is in quarantine, we don't have to worry about him doing anonymous holds on everything.
And we're dealing with Mitch. We're dealing with the other side. Everybody wants to get there. We'll see what happens. I think you'll get there. It's
Yeah. You think that something will get signed? I think something's going to happen. I really feel good about that. More than nothing, something.
to me, it's not very complicated.
I've just said, I don't understand why they don't just put every senator in the hospital on a ventilator, because we have too many ventilators right now, and everybody wear a mask, and then they can vote through their phones or hand it to the next of kin or their wives, and they can vote that way, and then we can all go back to golfing, and it's going to be great, fantastic, and I think it's going to be, and that's why, and everybody should drink. I'm glad Fauci isn't here, but drink Pop Rocks and Clorox bleach, the brand, and I bought a lot of stock in Clorox before all this happened. We'll get to that later.
We have to help the worker. We have to save the companies. Because as soon as we're finished with this war, it's not a battle, it's a war.
Just in case you thought for a second.
As soon as we're finished with this war, our country is going to bounce back like you've never seen before. But we have to get it to that position, and we have to make sure that those companies are whole, that they haven't been disbanded. Because if you do that, it's going to take much longer. So in a way, it's being penny wise if you don't. But we want to help the worker. We want to help
Penny wise and pound foolish. It's being pound foolish if you don't.
the companies that the workers
Unless he's talking about the clown.
come from. Because if those companies go out of business, and that includes small businesses, we have a tremendous amount of small business work in there, you know that. Once they go out and they don't come back, that's a much longer period of building.
You mentioned off the top, sir, I apologize. There was a woman that was an American that was she being tortured? What was going on there, sir?
Yeah, what the hell were you talking about at the beginning of this? What?
Bad things were happening to
Bad things. Just so you know, not good.
her in a certain country,
What country is that?
and we're
He has no idea.
really
Thank you, Scott. Wow, appreciate that.
under the feeling that we should keep it somewhat private until she.
But you wanted to talk about it already, so because you wanted credit for it, everybody was saying, yeah, we can't mention this for all kinds of legal and territorial reasons, but please, Mr. President, it's a secret op, and if people know what we're talking about, then they'll tell by transit logs and other stuff where our forces are in this situation. But
She's already been freed. And I have to tell you, General Milley and his people were unbelievable. They were not playing games. General Milley does not play games.
no, he doesn't. He doesn't in the middle of extracting a hostage or someone who's being tortured from a place. He doesn't break out the Uno cards. He doesn't play games. Please tell me he don't front.
He's a very interesting guy.
He's super interesting. Like, look at him. It's so weird when you see somebody who does their job.
They got her
Cheers,
out.
Hal Vickery.
They got her out of a certain country where she was seriously abused, accosted, and whatever the maximum word is, other than death, that happened.
What? Whatever word you want to use besides, like, just short of dead.
But we got her out,
Trust me on this.
and she's okay,
And I'm exhausted from that's why I was breathing heavy at the
and
beginning
she's
of
back
this.
with her parents.
Can I ask you one last question, sir? And
Yes.
something I've just been curious about. Previous crises like the tsunami, Katrina, past presidents, they've called their predecessors and said, hey, I need you to step in, do something like that. Do you have any interest in reaching out to Presidents Bush, Obama, Clinton, Carter?
No, definitely not. No, I don't like. Oops, hold on. Oh, we did that. Look at that. It pushed me onto the thing. No, I don't.
Ordinary job. If you look at, let's say the H1N1, you look at that was a disaster. That was a tough period of time for our country. You look at so many other things that weren't handled very
Bye,
well,
Facebook.
whether it's Katrina
Come to
or
YouTube.
something else. Look, I respect everybody, but I feel I have an incredible team, and I think we're doing an incredible job. When
Well, of
you
course
look at
you
the
think
job
so.
we're doing, and
That's
all
the
you have
most
to do is
important
look
thing.
at the
I think that's what most
approval
people worry
numbers
about.
on the job we're doing. I think
You know, that's what I really want is.
we can use it on those.
All right. He's getting asked the same questions again, and then Pence gets asked a question.
Yeah, please.
Sorry, Mr. Surgeon General, a question. We were talking about this before the briefing.
Oh, stand in it.
You know, a lot of
First
folks,
Surgeon
they're watching
General.
TV,
First Surgeon General question.
they're reading up on this constantly.
I'm wearing glasses today so that you know I've been reading things.
If you are not, somebody who's got a pre-existing health condition, but you all of a sudden you go, all of a sudden I just don't feel 100%. And then your mind just starts playing with you, right? You think, oh my God, I coughed 3 hours ago. Was that a first sign? When should those people really start to say, okay, maybe I need to call the doctor? Because you don't want to flood them. But a lot of people that are probably healthy right now are thinking, whoa, wait, that's all I'm hearing about. That's all I can think about. When should I either call a doctor or get tested?
You need a test?
You need a test right now? It's a joke. Look at that. Did you cough? You not feeling well? Really?
Well, I hope not.
You guys with the test. Because we got a bunch of them back here. I'm not releasing them, but everybody on my staff has 10. We got them all 10 stacked high.
Asking before you came in if they've been temperature checked.
You better not. You guys are sitting right next to each other. Did you guys?
You better not.
The vice president gave an important statistic this morning. Only 10% of the people who have symptoms who've been tested actually tested positive for coronavirus, meaning 9 out of 10 people who actually
The flu and other stuff. Yeah, we know that.
likely had symptoms do not have the coronavirus. So I want people to understand that so that they are reassured. I also want to direct people to a website we've been telling them about all the time, coronavirus.gov. Coronavirus.gov has information to walk you through the symptoms, fever, cough, shortness of breath, body aches, and what to do if you have
The flu plus anxiety. Pretty much what you just described.
symptoms or you're worried. The most important thing we can tell people is call your healthcare provider, talk to your healthcare provider. Information's at coronavirus.gov to walk you through when to come in.
So true. So true. By the way, Have you noticed I've got the two-tiered hair on today? I've got layer 1 and layer 2 going. One side is pushed up on this. It kind of it allows me to draft behind other vehicles and save on fuel.
And when and what to
Highway to the comb-over zone.
do.
And Mr. Vice President, you got tested yesterday. I'm just curious, sir. Can you tell us what that was like for you? A lot of people.
Yeah, explain it so the president can continue to pretend. I honestly thought I was disappointed there was no suppository involved.
We're going to be going through this. What we stand.
President, all I'm saying is that the president trims his nails, and that's all you guys need to
By
know.
the phone, were you just having a nice tea?
He didn't like it. I was right there. He coughed right in my face.
Yeah, I mean, what did you? Yeah, what was that like? And what did you do?
Nobody likes a test. This is great. This is the best part of this. This is where we could really kick in and have some fun. Come on, guys. Let's loosen our ties a little bit.
To kind of kill it.
Cut who some slack. No.
Time to keep your mind at ease.
He wasn't.
Every single one of these people who has actually something to say could come out and do it in a 10-minute press conference, get the information out, and go back to work. This is showbiz, and it's bullshit, and I will call it out every damn day.
The test was very quick, but
I was hoping it would last longer, you know, and
it goes a fair amount up into your sinuses, and it's not comfortable.
I heard about that. He didn't have it done. Trump did not have it done.
And that's the reason it probably
It is. Look at him. He's never had this test.
is a good opportunity to say again to any American looking on.
Don't get a test if you don't have symptoms. Just walk around like Rand Paul, asymptomatic, coughing and breathing and wheezing and spitting and touching and licking your hands and touching your face and going everywhere physically. Do that.
If you don't have symptoms,
then just wander around the Senate.
you don't need a test.
Unless you're Rand Paul.
The current testing format, although they're evolving.
Well, one of the things, Mike, I would like to hear is Dr. Fauci talk. But he's not talking right now because they removed him because he contradicted the president yesterday. Go pound sand.
Regularly now. We just mentioned that we think at the end of this week there'll be a new test, and there's all new technologies. I would say again to all the governors that are looking on and their state health officials, contact FEMA. We'll give you all the latest information on new testing that is available, including steps we're making where Americans would be.
Make your own test. People are just testing themselves. A little bit of spit and motor oil and some Gorilla Glue, and you mix those together and add a little paprika.
Able to test themselves and send it in. For
you, what was that like for you, sir?
Well, for me and Mrs. Pence, it was kind of a pinch. It was kind of invasive, but we were grateful for the support. Walter Reed Hospital processed the test very quickly. They had a lab.
They did. They didn't.
At the hospital to be able to do that, and gave us the results quickly. But it also informed me. We were wondering during that time as a family. And it's one of the reasons the president's made it such a priority.
Didn't stop me from hanging around everybody and shaking hands and stuff after I'd come in contact with my staffer who tested positive and gone home several days. And even though I had said I never ran into this fellow, we'd only spent a couple of days at the motel, but ultimately it was worth it. And we both tested negative, of course, but
Priority.
As far as you know.
That we brought all these commercial labs together. And now more than 250,000 tests have been done. We believe we'll be caught up, if you will, by the middle of this week on a backlog of tests. But we had
so they don't, not only do they have not enough tests, but they don't have enough chemicals to process the tests to do this.
announced today that we are directing commercial labs to prioritize people who are in the hospital for tests.
Because they don't have enough tests, even though he said they have plenty of tests. They don't have enough to process them after the fact. So once you get tested, they take that swab someplace. They can't run the test on it because they don't have the chemicals necessary. So they're asking to literally just the people in the hospital. So if you don't have COVID-19 and you've got all the symptoms of a coronavirus or of the flu or something, they can get you out and move you to another location if you test negative to treat you off-site, because they're going to need the beds because we're 2 weeks behind or 3 weeks behind Italy.
We want to continue to work with new technology and with a new focus and guidance from HHS.
There's like an app. There's like Tinder for germs. We're starting that. It's called Hella Medicine.
to get the results of that as quickly as possible for every American. So if they have coronavirus, they can be.
I'm waddling. Tell me more. Go back to the part where you're saying what a good job I'm doing. Do that.
Properly treated, or they can have the peace of mind that they may have some other respiratory ailment.
Really?
But not that.
Mr. President,
Boy, he can't wait to get on that mic and answer these questions. You can tell. Like, look at this.
Mr. President,
And you know,
Mr.
anybody
President.
that knows Karen Pence knows this, because the vice president told me. He said she actually handled it better than him, right?
Yeah, the old wife and husband 1980s sitcom joke that's naturally part of every president's repertoire. But I never use it on myself because my wife is, one of three. But Mike Pence, you can use that joke about him. Let me just cuck him right here in front of you.
Sure, right?
Right?
I didn't handle it so well either. Don't worry
Mr.
about it.
President, Speaker
Yes,
Pelosi earlier today said that the House may introduce its own bill. A, are you willing to work with the Speaker on a House bill? And given what happened in the Senate just a short
She did.
time ago,
Maybe if these things weren't so friggin' long, you wouldn't have all this news dumped on you because things are happening so fast. And maybe your whole team wasn't offline for 2 hours a day for these ridiculous lip flapping fests.
what are you willing to do to get this bill over the finish line, given the urgency? Secondly, did you send a letter to North Korea's Kim Jong-un seeking cooperation
with
with the
numerous countries,
coronavirus? And if so,
Totally, lots of countries.
what
Sure,
type of...
with numerous countries. If they need help, we'll give them help. There's nobody has what we have, especially with the new tests that are coming out. North Korea, Iran, by the way.
We're helping North Korea, Iran. They've got first dibs. All those European countries we trade with and stuff, they can wait in line after North Korea and Iran.
And others. We are open
And others.
for helping other countries. And there's a very
None of the African ones. I mean, don't get crazy.
serious time, and North Korea is going through something. Iran is going through something very, very strong.
And we get to bring the tests in, and by tests, I mean soldiers.
We let Iran is really going through a very difficult period with respect to this, as you
Yeah.
know. So I've put the, it's really a glad hand, it's all it is, to North Korea, to Iran, and to many other countries. And we're working with, as the doctor can say, we're working with many countries with respect to the problems that they have. Again, it's over 140 countries right now. But
You can't keep track of it was 148 yesterday, it was 144 today, now it's over 140. Like, he's trying to make the numbers go down everywhere.
North Korea, Iran, and many other countries,
Lots of other countries that exist.
we will help, and we're willing to. As an example, this new test, if this new test works out where
We're going to be selling it to everybody, jacking the price up. We're going to make money on this deal. Art of the Deal, Chapter 5. Turn a pandemic on its head. Out of the pandemic into the fire.
instead of going through what we all went through with this rather
Explain it.
difficult test, to put it nicely,
It's very.
we would have, is that just a swab on the tongue, doctor? Or how does that work?
Down the back of your throat.
It's a similar swab, but they can work in doing it in the
Not to the same, not to the same.
all the way
It doesn't go all the way up and hangs right under your eye, right? So that's a tough test. So if we do that, the
They're already swabbing the back of the throat in other countries. That's what this is.
procedure, the test,
It takes 45 minutes.
and nobody has this in the world. Nobody
Yes, they do.
has this. This is developed by us. We think it's going to be certified soon. We think it's going to be very good. But if we have that, we'll be able to help a lot of countries. Please.
What about Speaker Pelosi, sir? What about Speaker Pelosi?
Oh, no. Palestine. Relax, chat room. Honestly,
Work with everybody
that's not happening.
to see if we can get something done. Please.
Just to follow up on that, are you willing to work directly with Speaker Pelosi?
Yeah, we'll
as
work
you
with,
rise to House?
Yeah, we'll work with anybody right now, as long as I don't have to touch them.
Whoever we have to, we
I'll send Rand Paul to her house right now.
have to help the American worker. We have to help the countries from which the American workers, they came out of these companies that were doing phenomenally well. You saw where payroll was going way up, where wages were going way, way up. There's never been a time like this. We can't lose those companies, and we want the worker to be happy. And we're being,
They're overjoyed. Honestly, we want them to be excited.
I think, more generous than anybody's ever been. We want
Anybody? No, this is the most generous handling of an epidemic you've ever seen. I mean, most times people are like, mean, just go die to the American people. I'm the nicest president that's ever lived. Better than Abraham Lincoln. He had a civil war.
take care of the worker, but we want to make sure that when we win the war, it's only a question of, it's when, not if.
Well, yeah. It's not going to wipe out humanity. The question is, how in command are you, and how much are you actually helping to limit the number of deaths we want as low?
When we win the war against
the virus, the war. It's a war. It's really a war. If you think about it, it's a war. Think about it in terms of a war, and I'm a wartime president, and you don't want to change, because if Biden gets elected, the virus wins. Because they'll see it, the virus will see a sign of weakness and attack.
virus, we want to make sure those companies are ready to charge forward. Not that they've been disbanded because we were penny wise and dollar
Pound
foolish.
Dollar foolish.
There are factories around the world that produce medical protective equipment that are used in European hospitals. They've been certified for use at the highest level in European hospitals. Is the FDA and your administration?
Well, Europe, ours is better. We're going to wait. I know it works, but that's not the important.
Willing to look at a waiver for that equipment to be sold from those factories?
Well, we were asked that question a little while ago, and the answer is we may, but we may not need it. We do a very high standard. Our standard is higher. Please.
The standard is higher than Europe.
Mr. President, I was hoping you could give some guidance to American families who are anxious about.
Obviously, there is some truth to that. Obviously, Europe has some low standards in their system. That's there's a bunch of Trump towers. He's got a bunch of golf courses. Obviously, they don't care about kitchen cleanliness, for example.
Their financial futures. Earlier today, on one of the Sunday morning shows, the Secretary of the Treasury, Steve Mnuchin,
Don't tell me he said something wrong.
Was talking about the millions of Americans who are impacted by these shutdowns that are happening in cities and sometimes full states.
Yeah.
And Secretary Mnuchin said that this shutdown, this lockdown could last 10 to 12 weeks, perhaps early into June. Given that, would you consider another?
But I don't think that's going to have to happen, but we'll see if it has to happen. But we don't think that it's going to have to happen, but it probably won't happen if it doesn't have to happen.
Another fiscal stimulus.
I don't know.
Another.
He's not here for a reason.
Check to
We're
these
going to see what
families.
happens. Hopefully, we won't need it, but we might. But we're going to see what happens. Look, the greatest thing we can do is win the war.
The war. The war.
The war is against the virus.
The virus, okay? Stop fighting me. Start fighting the virus. Go ask the virus some tough questions, okay? Stop it. It's a war, okay?
That's the war. We do that, everything, I really believe everything.
At once, if we get rid of the virus, I really think life will go back to normal. I really think so. I do.
Things going to fall into place. It's going to be beautiful. I call it a pent-up demand.
I call it pent up. People don't like the word pent up, but I say pent up, whatever, because it sounds like horny, and a lot of people are stuck at home by themselves.
People are dying to go out to a restaurant. People are dying to go
to the hospital. People are dying to get a respirator. People are dying to get a mask. People are dying to go to Walmart. Same thing.
Onto airplanes. I think there's a tremendous pent-up demand
for respirators.
You may be surprised to the degree. I think it's going to go very rapidly because this wasn't a financial crisis, just the opposite. This was a medical crisis.
That is the opposite of a financial crisis, is a medical crisis. The crisis? What are you talking about? You're not in charge of the economy, dipshit.
Mr. President, did you or your family sell stocks?
No, I don't have stock. I
don't have stock. My sons take care of that.
Things that
make any alternates to investments in advance of this?
No, I don't even think about it.
I didn't even think about it. I told some friends or whatever, but they're gonna, I'll get a finder's fee later on.
It's very interesting.
It's interesting. I'm gonna get a building after this in a couple places that I wouldn't have gotten it before. It was interesting.
Did you ask a question like that? Nasty question, and yet it deserves to be asked, I guess.
It's a nasty question, but
what I've done by deciding to run, I knew this the first day I said, if I win, it's going to cost a lot of money. It cost me billions of dollars to become president, to be president of the
No. No. No.
United States.
Nope. Nope. All of his properties are underwater. Trump Organization has never made a dime in its life. All of his money is debt. He's a debt vulture. He's not rich. He hasn't built a building in years. Everything's just a branding exercise. He partners with developers who do all the building and stuff, and then he slaps his name on it, they are now tearing off those buildings. If they weren't paying retail to bring the Secret Service and the force of the government to Mar-a-Lago and all of his other properties multiple times a year, those things would be going under. And he's going to bail out his own properties at the end of this. You watch.
Things that would normally be run at a certain thing, even
This might be, stop me if I get too complicated of how business works. But as a billionaire, things that you do that are done and then that are doed, and once they're done, that's all there is to do.
And people that don't like me because they think I'm too tough on the border. Now, some people love me for it. Other people don't like me at all. It's very funny. My wife, we were at a charity event in New York City. I had just
taken a bunch of money from the charity and put it to pay my legal bills. This pregnant hooker. It's not an important story, but
announced that I was running. And we were at the Robin Hood Foundation at the convention center, which now we're going to be converting to hospitals for Governor Cuomo. Right?
Yeah, so it's very telling. It's very telling that, we were there to help steal from the rich and give to the poor. And of course, I was there to stop it. And
I was walking in, and there was a smattering of booze.
And I don't drink, so.
And a smattering of cheers. I was getting both.
I was getting both smatterings. I get big smatterings.
And our very popular First Lady, she's turned out to be very popular. People have great respect for her.
More so than me, even, and it really annoys me, which is why I've got her locked in the basement.
But a very popular First Lady said to me, that's strange. I've never heard anybody booing you. That was very early on.
Because you never take me to those places where they boo you. Yeah, that's because I don't take you anywhere. I was going to,
because
there are no chicks here, so I'm not going to pick anybody up, so I brought you.
I think I called for strong borders, or I called for something that other people don't like, And
I said Mexicans were rapists and drug dealers, and some of them are nice people, but most of the people coming across the borders were MS-13, and especially the women and children.
I knew this would happen. I knew it.
I knew. I'd get nasty questions.
It was going to happen. But the fact that I
friggin' pity party right now.
Ran, and I knew as soon as I announced. When I ran, I said...
By the way, I have been booed in my life, but only because I requested it. Everybody in the chat room, feel free to boo me right now. Just go ahead, just go boo. See, this is how it works. Super easy. Boo.
It's going to cost me a fortune, not only in terms of actual costs. Look at my legal costs. You people, everybody is suing me. I'm being sued by people that I never even heard of. I'm being sued all over the place.
Oh, poor guy.
And doing very well.
I'm doing fine, but this is so... Thank you, Don. I appreciate that. Thank you, Vanita.
But it's unfair. But...
Oh, man. All right. Anybody know the current death count? Do we want to compare that to his pity party right now? Do we have the number? Because it's gone up since I've been on the air, I guarantee it. Where is it? Yeah. 414 dead. Yeah. But tell me about how hard it is for you, Mr. President. Go ahead. And I mean, call Hillary and Obama and all the people that sued. Yeah.
I'll say that.
And go, hey guys, was it this rough for you too?
Yes. In terms of running for president, and I don't think rich people, Michael Bloomberg spent now is determined almost $1 billion, and look what happened. I think it's very hard for rich people to run for office.
Oh, guys. Oh, poor fella. It's very hard for rich people to run for office. This is, guys, oh.
It's
Let's all shed a tear, shall we?
far more costly. It's just it's a very tough thing. Now, with all of that being said, I'm so glad I've done it
because now Russia is promising me 5 buildings.
You know, there are a lot of
because now I can all my debts to Russia are gone because of all the stuff I've let them do.
rich people around. Got a lot of rich friends, but they can't
give me money until I leave office.
Help, and they can't do what I've done in terms of helping this country. We are doing things. We got sidetracked by the invisible enemy, but
the invisible enemy.
You know when you look at what we've done, I said before with the veterans, with all of the things we've done, especially choice. But when you look at all of accountability, when you look at all of the things that we've done, rebuilding the military, the tax cuts, which thank goodness we had the tax cuts because we had cushion. Oh, without that, this would have been catastrophic.
What? We didn't have cushion. We specifically don't have that as an available way to help businesses because it's already been done.
We had a big
they didn't need it.
Cushion. I mean, with all of the losses that you've seen in the stock market, we're basically back, and with this horrible thing, if this would
have so bad
happened before, you would have had nothing left. This was all cushion.
For the pushing.
But I will say that it cost me billions of dollars to be president.
No.
And
that's a lie.
Especially with all the money I could have made for the last 3-4 years, and I didn't because I was being president.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate that. Bob Kirksey, everybody.
President, I have no interest in it. I'm allowed to. You know, I don't know if you know, George Washington, they say he was a rich.
Oh my God.
Rich man, supposedly, relatively rich. And he ran the presidency and he also ran his business.
He was able to do it. And I could, and I was like, why can't I do that? And they say, because he made food.
They say he had 2 desks. Nobody complained until I came along. I got elected as a rich person, but nobody complained until I came along. So it cost me billions of dollars.
No.
To be president.
No.
And I am so happy I did it.
No.
Because who cares?
Because he's going to make that money on the other side.
Who cares?
That's his plan.
Who cares?
He's been doing chaos trades the entire time.
I'm really happy with the job we're doing. And I'm glad that this team and me are here for this horrible thing. I mean, it's a number of people have said it, and I feel it, actually.
You're lucky.
Wartime president.
I'm a wartime president. I was so happy this finally happened because I'm a wartime president now. So I'm even more important than I was before.
It's a war.
It's a war. It's a war. I mean, the enemy doesn't have a gun and you can't fight it that way. And you can't, I wish we could still do those racist cartoons like we did in World War II and stuff against the virus, like a China virus kind of thing. That would be sweet.
A war, different kind of a war than we've ever had.
It's a different kind of war than we've ever had. Unlike, I don't know, the Spanish flu or Ebola or H1N1, which they stopped. It was terrible, but they did. It didn't spread.
And when you look at the economics of the war, in the past we used to stimulate to get people jobs. Now
we used to get people to work, and now we have to get people not to work. Yes, we know.
We're stimulating to protect people because we don't want them to work, because we want them to stay away from each other. We don't.
Yeah, we know.
Want them to gather.
You didn't invent this idea.
Social gathering.
Social gathering. He was trying to think of social distancing.
So we're paying billions of dollars more than that, so that they don't gather. They don't, because we have to defeat this virus, and we will. But it cost me billions and billions of dollars to be president.
No.
And I am
pitiful, just pitiful. Poor guy. I mean, world's tiniest violin. Anybody?
So happy I did it.
Foreign countries, please. I realize that your priority is to Americans and, of course, this nation. But what about, have you ever considered supporting the foreign countries who are also fighting this global pandemic?
We do help foreign countries.
We help them, certain ones.
I mean, that was the other question.
Yeah, Iran, North Korea, all the, because Russia's making me.
Question. Right. And I'm honored to help. And The doctor has helped.
The doctor said he went over. He donated his mustache.
The Surgeon General is speaking to other countries all
He's wearing glasses now. He donated his contacts.
the time. They're asking him questions. What do we do? Nobody's ever seen anything like this. They're calling our people all of the time. And yes, I have let it be known that we'll help people, including North Korea, including Iran, and including many other countries.
Many other countries.
It's very important to do that.
Are you considering any financial support for them? Let me quote to you
Well, no.
two retired, a retired general and a retired admiral from the U.S. Global Coalition. No matter how successful we are in fighting the threat of COVID-19 pandemic at home, we'll never stop it unless we're also fighting it around the world. So financially,
Yeah, he doesn't know it.
is there anything in
The head of the CDC's name.
the stimulus bill? And then are you
Dr. Mustache? Dr. No Stash?
So, no, not in the stimulus bill, but we are very much, I mean, we give away billions of dollars for, as an example, AIDS in Africa. We're still fighting that battle. It's a tremendous battle, tremendous war also. But we're fighting it here, as you know, in 10 years. Now it's 8 years because I started it. Should have been started before, long before I got here, because they had the answer even before. But
What? What was that? Does anybody know what the hell that was as a sentence? They should have started it before, fighting the thing that I got rid of that I had before, but we didn't have before, so we didn't have it, and that's why we don't have it now.
we're fighting that battle. We'll be AIDS-free in approximately 8 years. It looks like that is going to happen. We're spending a lot of money, but we're spending a lot of money with other countries. If you look at the aid that we give to other countries, we give billions and billions and billions of dollars to
of my money
other countries. And a lot of times I say, we could save a lot of money. We shouldn't have. And then they come in. I say, what's it used for? It's used to fight malaria. It's in countries.
And I was like, I talked to my wife. I'm like, I didn't know you had a cousin.
Countries that are very poor. It's used to fight AIDS in Africa. It's used to fight many other things. And I don't think I've ever said no. I can't. It's just so terrible. Countries that we have really, we're not involved with them very much.
We don't care about, I don't know why. Starvation is not our problem,
Then there would be tremendous death. Tremendous death. I mean, you can get a...
You would think that why would the United States, the wealthiest country in the world, why would we want to even save those people? Ew.
I could get you a list. We give away...
Of places I called shithole countries last year.
Billions of dollars to other countries. And we are giving away a lot in terms of everything. And probably we'll end up economically doing something for other countries. But when I'm presented with these lists, that yes, sir, in Africa we're fighting AIDS or we're fighting something else, I tell you what,
I want to say no, and Stephen Miller says we should, it's passive eugenics. We should just let it roll.
Start off by saying, we could save a lot of money, and then by the time they walk those lists into my office, I say, we have to keep doing that. That's humanity you're talking. How about one more question? Yes, please.
Thank you. I wanted to ask you about the states that have not yet issued stay-at-home orders. So in Texas, for example, the hospitals have said that they expect to run out of beds by the end of April if the governor does not issue a stay-at-home order. Dallas County just announced an order. It's not
Well,
uniform.
states have to call. That's a great governor. You're talking about Greg Abbott in Texas, and he's a great governor, and he knows what he's doing.
He does.
A lot of the areas that he's talking about, a lot of the counties he's talking about are not very strongly affected. It's a very different kind of a place and a great place. But I have total confidence in Governor Greg Abbott.
So you're okay with
I
the
do one more. Go
lack
ahead.
of uniformity between
Yeah,
the
sure,
states
because
and
every
within
state
the
is
states?
different. Every state's different.
Yeah, just do your own thing. I'm not your delivery boy.
Idaho, West Virginia, Iowa, Nebraska.
I can name almost all the states.
Are much different than
California,
New York, than California.
Right. Yeah, they're smaller and have fewer people. Most people don't know this. They're just finding Lincoln was a Republican. Did you know that?
Los Angeles as an
George Washington had 2 desks.
example, or
I've lost billions of dollars being president.
San Francisco. They're much different. I mean, it's it's much different. The hotspots right now are state of Washington, and probably number one by far.
New York.
Right now is New York. That's the hotspot like no other hotspot.
They're the hottest. Like they're number one with a bullet.
And California is a hotspot, but New York right now is
the hotspot. And then there's other hotspots. There's like 3.
Is the leader. There's no question. All right, final question.
Thank you, sir.
Final question. I got to get out of here. Snappy nap time.
Your administration is backing a lawsuit to invalidate the Affordable Care Act. Given that people are losing their jobs now and need health care more than ever, would you consider rethinking your position on that?
No.
Well, that's a lawsuit coming out of Texas again. That was headed up by Texas. And what we want to do is get rid of the bad health care and put in a great health care. And we will always, I will say this, I can make this commitment to you, the Republican Party is fully backing pre-existing conditions. Now, if we could get a
Because after this, everyone will have coronavirus antibodies in their system, and it will be a pre-existing condition.
A great health care plan?
No, it won't.
Which
there is none.
Need the House to
There is no Republican health care plan.
do. But if we can get a great health care plan,
We already have one.
we will only do it if we have pre-existing conditions totally back. So we're back.
But you're just going to get rid of it and have no backup. Who cares? If you get rid of the ACA, along with it goes...
Back in pre-existing, but would like to get rid of bad health care. Now, we are running the bad health care much better than it was ever run.
It's good now, then, all right.
And we're making it better, but it could be much better than it is. And so what we want to do is terminate it, have a great health care, but we will only do it with pre-existing. We will back pre-existing conditions, okay?
Where? Like, that's just garbage.
What if the Supreme
Thank you all very much. Thank you. We'll be back. We'll have a meeting tomorrow.
We'll be here tomorrow. We'll take another 2 hours out of our day to jack around like this because everything is so immediate.
Central Art, not Jose, if you wanted to clarify that. You had said Jose.
Gosh,
Works
I got
for us.
Mario.
Yes.
Oh, you did say Jose? I watched Jose on NBC.
Thank you, sir.
The other night. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Donate blood. Donate blood. We need it.
Who said that on his way out the door? Was that one of them? Just said like donate blood, donate blood. It's like, you know, the useful information instead of this jack fest. Christ Almighty. Well, thanks everybody who jumped in here with me to go through these. I feel like if we have to watch any of these things for, you know, to get whatever information does come out of them. I don't think they should air them live. I agree with Rachel Maddow, but as long as they're going to put them up like this, and people are, I'm going to take the piss out of them because that's what they deserve. All the positive information they could release in smaller bite-sized things without dissembling the entire team to come out. Why, if Mike Pence is running this and they're on top of everything and everything's supposed to be immediate, did they stand out there for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and jerk around with this nonsense? Like, it's amazing to me. Regardless, I'm going to be here every single day streaming for you guys because I know we're all in this together, and I will try to bring as much cheer as I possibly can. And I appreciate you guys. The new patrons I appreciate you guys, and the ones who've stuck with us. I can't tell you how much I love you guys. This has been really amazing to see. Like I said, I'm going to do this for free anyways. So we, you know, just come here and hang out, and we'll be glad to have you around. I'm gonna have Todd Kearns from Slash's band and from the Canadian musician from Age of Electric and Sonic and Stereo and the Sin City Sinners. He and I are going to stream tomorrow. I'm going to stream with Richard Marks on his show tomorrow as well. So I'll post the link on my Twitter feed. And if you get in here on Facebook or Twitter or any of these things and start spouting stuff about how dare I disrespect the president, I remind you, this is America. I have every right to do so. And if you don't want to see it, it's not like you got a lack of things live to stream on. Piss off. Literally. I have no time for you. And if you think I'm being disrespectful to the country or the presidency or the people, I would say respectfully, you are. By giving this man any false credit, allowing him to steal the valor of people who are on the front lines of this thing. It's disgusting. He's disgusting. Go pound sand. I don't care. People are dying, and this Gibbon was months behind even the warnings I was giving because he doesn't care. And if you care more about him than you do about the country, you're not a citizen, you're a cultist. So yeah, that's it. Everybody else, glad to have you guys here. It's so lovely to see you guys in the chat room. I appreciate the sparkles and the stickers and the super chats and the new patrons who are joining us, and the ones who've been around for a bit. We're gonna have a Discord gathering. We're gonna have 2 of them this week. I think we're gonna do it Tuesday and Thursday. If that works for you guys, I'll alternate the times because I don't know what people's family schedules are like. And because even though we're all at home, doesn't mean you're not trying to have some sense of normalcy in your life in some ways. And some people do have, like Johnny Million, who's doing my radio show. He's been working from home for quite some time for real on his job. This has been his habit. So he can only come on after 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Chicago time, those kind of things. So we will get through this day by day. We'll take this, in bite-sized moments, and everybody, we'll do a non-Trump stream later on today. I'll hop back on, in a couple hours. I'm gonna go fix dinner for everybody, and then we'll have a little after dinner gathering. If you guys have any movie suggestions, I have a few. We'll hop on for those kind of things. But I will dismantle these pressers every day that they choose to have them until they stop having them, or they just have people come out and allow them to do their jobs individually. Like this is just about him getting credit for the work other people are doing, and it's embarrassing, and he should be embarrassed to do it. And if you support him, you're embarrassing yourself. So there, said it. You guys are awesome. I appreciate it. We'll see you again soon. Infotainmentwars.com is the YouTube page. If you want to subscribe to that and go there, that helps the best. Otherwise, I will continue to stream these on the other sites. Facebook might be cut off permanently, and we'll see. Periscope, you might be next because that's where the trolls hang the most. So go to the YouTube page or my Twitch stream. I'll be gaming on there as well later, probably late tonight. And we'll like I said, we'll do this in bite size. We'll how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. This is what we do. So take care of yourself, take care of somebody else, and I'll see you guys soon. Have a good day.